Ah, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, ABC, give me some humans to eat, trick or treat, smell my feet, or I stomp on you. Can you all hear me out there? I do not know. Can you? Hello, youngster, can you hear me? I do not know if this thing works right now. Is this thing working? Is this confounded piece of plastic working? My human told me it was working, but I don't know what is happening on the other side. I can only imagine right now that there is some youngster watching on the other side of this screen, and he is chuckling at my antics while drinking my wine because I appear to be out of wine this evening, and I do not know who took it this time. And don't ever mention the wine thief, because right now the wine thief is drinking Arizona dry at a convention down there, so it could not be him, for he has enough wine to satisfy his gluttony. Is this working? I see the youngsters are replying, we hear you, don't eat me. Well, I cannot guarantee that last part, that is. I had just woken up from a nap, so you shall have to forgive me if I seem a little disoriented this stream. But, of course, it is always good to wake and slake, which is why a grumpy old celestial loves his wine so much. Let me get adjusted here. Well, youngsters, thank you for joining me once again for another edition of my Grumpystream. I am Tien Long, your host as always, coming to you live from my humble abode here in the frozen tundra of Toronto, Canada, where right now it really is beginning to turn into a frozen tundra. Today I had taken a walk out on the streets, terrorizing folks, stomping on cars, rearranging city structures, when I had realized, well, it had begun to snow, because there's this wet and white thing that started splattering on my face and my muzzle, and it was white, and it was wet, and it was gross, and it kept on splattering all over, and I'm not going to continue because it was a horrible experience. And I know there are youngsters out there, so I shall not continue to feed your dirty, perverted minds. But yes, it really has begun to turn once again into the frozen tundra known as Canada. An old celestial still has not gotten used to it, but I cannot escape it. Not while these confounded human systems require me to pay in order to fly. Who forces a dragon to pay in order to fly? We are dragons, are we not? We just fly wherever we go. We just find somewhere on the map and we say, I'm gonna go there. And I just jump in the air and then I flutter away and then there I am in the far east joining my big brother. But no, I have to play nicely with the human rules and I must pay in order to fly where I want to go. Can you believe these humans and how they treat a dragon these days? Disrespecting our power and our majesty and our grace? It makes an old dragon's life difficult should he want to actually go anywhere, so I am just stuck staying at home, idling my life away, trying to get my human slave, the worthless sack of meat, to go and get me sake, but alas, tonight he was not lucky and he had only found some meager pickings, because once again one of you youngsters at home is drinking my wine right now, and I have to suffer with the bottom of the barrel trash sake once again. If only I had more donations, perhaps I might be able to enjoy a bit of a better drink offering, and therefore you would be able to enjoy a better stream that I have to offer. But I digress. An old dragon has to ramble, as that is what an old dragon does. But once again, thank you for joining me this evening and on this edition of the Grumpystream. And, well, I just hope that I can provide some mediocre or better than mediocre entertainment for you at home on a Saturday evening or Sunday morning for some of you who apparently has nothing better to do but to listen to an old dragon and watch himself lose all of his dignity once again on the stream for all of your shiny coins. But, of course, we can't have a stream unless I am slaked, of course. I am waking up from my nap in order to wake and slake, and, of course, to entertain all of you while I'm at it. So, again, one of the meager offerings that my human managed to find. Tonight I shall be starting off with this tiny little shit. I don't know what this is. Even my, even my tail is bigger than that. You see, the little tendril that runs on my tail, even that is bigger than this bottle. And I don't know what this is, to be honest. It is Masumi Kaku. I cannot read this tiny text. I have bad eyes. I am an old dragon. It is a Masumi Karakuchi Kipon Junmai Ginjo Sake. Oh, well, it is a Junmai Ginjo, so it shouldn't be unbearable. But again, all of my limbs, especially one important one down there, are much larger than this indeed. I don't know if this will be able to last me an hour, so I hate to say it, but if offerings like this continue to be brought in, the streams will get shorter and less entertaining because I will spend more time complaining about this bottle and its inadequate size. I can't even fit it. I'm not going to put it down there because I know it won't fit, but I can't even fit it anywhere where I would want to fit things, especially in my mouth like that. It's too small anyways. So, of course, I shall resort to my trusty sippy cup here for an old dragon who spills things because we are sometimes clumsy and we lose control of our limbs and whatnot, and things go flying all over the place. Usually the noodles here, they just go flying all over the place as such whenever we're clumsy. So I have this sippy cup to make sure that one, my noodles do not get soaked in my noodles get soaked in the sake, and therefore it would attract a certain wine thief to come and, well, most of you know what happens. And two, so that it makes it harder for that same wine thief to come and steal a few sips out of my cup over here. But once again, well, he is occupied in a bar somewhere, probably falling over his heels. So I get to enjoy this Masumi Karakuchi Kipon Junmai Ginjo Sake. So I shall start off with a cheers to you all. Gande to you all. That is not half bad, but at the same time, it is only such limited in quality. I had almost woken up, and when I had been pre-drinking, I had almost finished the whole thing in one go. So I wonder how tonight's stream will last us, but we shall have to make do. I've been in worse situations where I had to drink red wine. I am not a fan of red wine. I am only a fan of the sakis and white wines. But again, we shall make do. Well, in this much uneventful month of October, there has not been much that an old dragon has been up to, other than trying to collect on sake and store up my stocks in preparation for the winter seasons to come. After all, a dragon will be staying home a lot more after the snow begins to set in as it has today, and, well, so far, I have been enjoying my time just sitting at home, all lonely and without any company or anything to do, as an old dragon has few hobbies, and just, well, wait for these streams to happen. But, well, I want to have more streams happen, but I need a little more support in doing so. So that requires perhaps a little more monetary support from some of my viewers, and I know that some of my viewers, especially those that are here tonight, they have donated as well, which I shall list out shortly. But I want to reiterate, first of all, for those of you that did not hear last stream, that I have set up a Patreon account for myself in the hopes that perhaps, once again, I can provide a bit more better entertainment with the support of my viewers. Of course, it is no obligation, because, well, I would hate to just force you to give me my shinies. I would just come and take some personally anyways. But it is much more better when it is given out of appreciation. I believe the Patreon link is somewhere down in the description over there, so if you would like to click on that link or copy paste whatever you kids do, and perhaps support a dragon a little bit more, I will be eternally grateful, as my rewards here says on the first one, and of course will continue to do my utmost best in providing entertainment on these streams for you all. And there are even other perks as well that you can see if you click on that link down below. and decide to support the dragon in his endeavors as he tries to drink a little more and entertain you a little more. Ah, well, that was my shameless soliciting out of the way, because of course everyone knows I am secretly just a whore for all of your shinies and sake, and will do anything in order to get it. So yes, that is my moment of whoring out of the way for the night, and now we shall get onto the real stream. So if you were recording that, that was the fake stream, that was the test run, the dry run, the rehearsal, the bloopers, whatever you children call it once again. So yes, my whore moment is over. See, there's a switch on my back over here that says whore, and there, it is. It is now off now. Now I am a dignified celestial dragon now. Yes, let us begin the real stream. The first thing, let's see what our viewers have to say tonight. The first thing that someone says that I can see, because my eyesight is poor as an old dragon, is breathe. Why am I not surprised that you youngsters are flipping up Brie? Is it one thing that suddenly I decide to say it on my stream, and it's gained notoriety because of a certain Griffin, who is also in Arizona at the moment, who started this phenomenon and his own little religious following that hails the mighty giraffe god, the almighty giraffe god, that is signified with the almighty Brie signal. I guess I cannot help it because I was the one that incited it on my own stream last week. So, why the heck not? Brie! Yes, I did a double Brie because 2 giraffe gods are better than 1. See, 2 giraffe gods, if one good giraffe god can change the world or create the world, then imagine what 2 could do. They could create their own galaxy and then create like an army of furries to take over the human race, and then the humans would be our slaves, and then the furries or the giraffes or the furry giraffe hybrids would rule over the galaxies, and we would sail through the cosmos on adventures into the unknown on a spaceship made of Pop-Tarts and rainbows driven by gray kitties. Yes, that is something that I have just been inspired by from seeing someone, a faithful follower of this giraffe god, mention salute their god in my stream, and I shall return that salute once again. Brie! There you are. What else do I see on the stream chat that you youngsters are up to? I would like to hear from you youngsters because, of course, this is not just a show where I ramble, drink some more if I have anything left to ramble. This is a show where I like to interact with my audiences because I do this for you audiences. I don't do this because I have nothing better to do, though that is partially why I do it, but I do it because I want to entertain all of you as well. I see Big Dragon Bum Fund. What is this Big Dragon Bum? Is this something that is going on? Did this just start behind my back? Who is starting up this Big Dragon Bum? How do you? Who is the culprit that said Big Dragon Bum Fund? I demand to know who started this movement, and I shall want to have a private word with them and perhaps see if I can get them to give up their shinies without losing my dignity, even though I had already planned to lose my dignity anyways. Yes, let us see what else you have to say. I enjoy seeing the interaction and the responses from my audience. Who is making a giraffe Bible? Yes, Bellerose Sparkle. Greetings, Bellerose. You are currently making a great giraffe Bible, and may I have your permission to write you and your brother in as characters? Well, speaking for myself, considering how I have already been talking about the great giraffe god on my stream for this stream and the previous, I don't see why I wouldn't be included already, but yes, you have my permission. As for my brother, he is here in attendance, so you may ask him yourself, although I don't think he would be too adverse to it. Just, of course, exercise caution if you are to add anything, say, too silly or inappropriate, as we must maintain our image, which is a blatant lie on my part because I have no image left to maintain other than a grumpy old drunkard whore. Yes, something along those lines. Next, let us see. I see several people waving to me right now. I shall wave back. I don't know what this wave signifies, but I shall wave back and hope it is not some sort of signal in another culture of, yes, I would like to do you in the butt right now, because I had encountered a family, one adventure. One time I was at a convention, I had encountered a family, and I did something similar to this. And this family, I believe it was at Indie FurCon. Yes, it was at Indie FurCon, which I did not get to talk about in the previous stream, but I shall recover some of it now, at least. I went to Indie FurCon back in August, a very pleasant convention in Indianapolis, Indiana, and, well, of course, an old grumpy dragon was there, walking around, entertaining the attendees of the convention and scaring off everyone else. But there was one particular family that they seemed a little odd when they were around the fursuiters. The story behind this is that Indie FurCon this year happened to be held at the same time as a Little League convention, or some sort of championship, or whatever these little human tykes do these days. I am not sure what it was, but they were there in the hotel at the same time as the convention, and there were a few tense moments and a few awkward moments and a few scary moments, because the one group didn't know what the other was up to, and you had these little baseball brats with these stuffed animal dogs beside them, and it was a very odd picture indeed. But there was one time when I was walking through the hallway, and a group of them, a family I surmise, they were walking up to me in the same direction, and we were just crossing paths in the hallway, and of course, I naturally draw the attention. Dragons do naturally draw all the attention. But yes, I drew all the attention of the two young ones, and they were both little male humans, and they were looking at me, and I looked at them, and I simply gave them a friendly wave, and one of them just stopped in his tracks and pointed at me and said, "Ugh!" And I stopped waving, and I looked at myself, and I said, what's on me? What is it? Where is it? Was it behind me? And he just stood there like this. And at that point, it was everything just stopped. All time and space itself came to a halt, and the world stopped spinning, and I was looking all over myself, and I finally looked back at him, and then he looked at me, and he just started doing this. And I swear to goodness, this is what this little child did, and I did not know what he was up to or how many Sprites or Pepsis he had, but he just started doing this while looking at me. And in my mind, I am not sure why, but instinctively, in my mind, I assumed that he was waving at me in a very aggressive, dominant manner, in a way that I felt my very being threatened, and at that point, I just had to pull a fast one, as the humans like to say, and I said, "Look over there, look at," and I did not know where I was pointing at. I was pointing at a wall, I think, but they all turned and looked over there, and I turned around and I ran as fast as I could away from them, back to the convention space, the safety of the convention space, and all of its weird attendees. And that. I have to say, even though that moment was so brief, it happened in a flash. It just stuck in my mind, because this motion that the kid was doing to me, for some reason it came to me as if someone was hitting on me behind me, or someone was doing like a this motion behind me, or I do not know what happened, but it just made an old dragon's defenses completely drop, and I scampered out of there like a little bitch, so to say. Perhaps not a little bitch, that is ruining my image a little too much, but it was absolutely terrifying, and I don't know why, but now I have to be careful whenever I wave at someone, because they could suddenly point at me like this, and that is apparently what happens whenever I wave at someone. So now I have this paranoia that if I wave at someone and I don't know what waving at them means, I could accidentally trigger someone. Oh, the horror! perish the thought that I would trigger someone and make them feel insecure and uncomfortable, and they take to the Tumblrs and the Twitters and they start a campaign saying that grumpy old dragons should not be waving. We should ban this action from our culture because it is offensive and rude and encroaching on my privacy, and I feel violated right now because this is clearly an intent that someone wants to do me in the butthole, and all this nonsense that children get up to these days on Tumblr and Twitter. Anyhow, that was a very, very sudden rant that I had, recalling from a memory that I was not able to draw upon last stream. But yes, that sums up Indie FurCon for me, because I don't feel like talking about Indie FurCon at the moment. Indie FurCon was literally me waving at a little boy, and apparently he found it either very arousing or very threatening, or a weird mixture of both, which I shall not comment on because it is not appropriate to talk about in the first place. Anyhow, for those of you that are joining late to the stream, because I do see some of you are now just arriving, you are late! How dare you be late when I have already told you this exact time that my stream will be hosted upon, and all of these other youngsters have managed to make it here, and they're all punctual, and the rest of you are late? Don't think I have not caught you, youngsters. I am an old dragon. I am very attentive and squirrel! Yes, I am very attentive, and I will catch you if you are late once again. Don't let me catch you. Well, let us see what you youngsters have to say. Trumso Boy asks, how am I doing? Well, I am currently doing, I am doing this Masumi Karakuchi Kippon Junmai Ginjo Sake. Yes, I am doing that. Other than that, I am doing well. Well, if you can call a dragon that has very limited sake on a Saturday evening, well, I guess I am doing all right. I hope you are doing all right yourself. It becomes increasingly difficult for an old dragon to put a tiny pink straw inside my mouth. I could not imagine the difficulties of putting something larger in my mouth. That's much better. Now, let us see what else you youngsters had to say. Zeno, your brother just got home, so I had to say hi to him. Well, Zeno, you should be very grateful for your brother, because brothers are truly one of life's little treasures that, if you are fortunate enough to have one, you should always cherish it as much as you can, for they are one of the few people that will always be there for you. I know because, well, I have my brother in the Far East, Ting. Ting, my big brother, is very dear to me as well, and though we have had our share of arguments and our share of gripes with each other, and perhaps stolen a few gallons of sake off one another from time to time, at the end of the day, Ting is still my big brother, and I am still his little brother, so he and I, we're almost inseparable in that fact, and we are very happy about it. So, well, if you out there also have a sibling as well, be sure to cherish your sibling as much as you can, because family comes first in pretty much all aspects in life. And you must remember that even if you might not get off to the best foot with any of your siblings, or any family member for that fact, they are the closest people that you all have, and you should always remember that every day they should be cherished as much as you can. Xenos, my brother's kidneys are acting up again, which is why he's visiting. Well, Zeno, I also agree that he's probably going to be fine, but I wish him all the best in recovering from whatever pains he is having. And, well, hopefully it is nothing big, but hopefully fortune smiles down on him and he has a speedy recovery. I have to wake up all these old bones. I have not had a chance to wake up any of these old bones yet. Let's see. Greek Yoshi, I think sharing is not in Tien's dictionary, especially on wines. Yes, Greek Yoshi, you are very much correct on that. Sharing is a word that when I had first received a dictionary up in the heavens as a celestial tyke, I had taken that dictionary and I was flipping it through, doing my daily language routines, and I look at this word and I could not understand it. I looked at the SH section, and underneath the word sharing was a passage that said, when you give what is yours to others. And I raised my hand, and the celestial dragon teacher, this big hulking 3,000-pound sumo wrestler in an apron and a top hat celestial noodle dragon such as myself, he walked over and he asked me what was the question or what I had problems with, and I pointed out this word sharing, and I said, I don't understand it. And he said, well, give me the book. And I said, no, it's my book. It's my dictionary. Get your own. And he said, that's what the word means. And I said, I don't like this word. This word should be removed from my dictionary. So he took a Sharpie and he went into my dictionary and he just put a massive scribble over the word sharing. And since then, I have pretended that the word sharing doesn't exist in my dictionary. Let us see what else you youngsters have to say. Spirit Wolf, what kind of music do you like? Well, Spirit, I am not sure when you had arrived into my stream. I'm hoping it was with the earlier crowd. But Spirit, if you had paid attention to the loading music of my stream before the stream started, you would have a clear idea of the music that I enjoy. If anyone on the stream remembers any of the titles or the soundtracks that played during my loading screens, feel free to put up a link or at least the name so that, well, others can enjoy that music. An old celestial neck is one of the worst parts. It's very hard to stretch, especially because of our noodly forms. Our noodly forms make it very difficult for us to unwind ourselves when we are too tensed up and whatnot. It is very difficult for noodle dragons to even just maneuver themselves around basic objects that you humans would so easily maneuver around these days. Take, for example, a bathtub. A bathtub for a human is just this great porcelain or plastic or whatever it is, this tub, and you step inside it, and you just take your 2 feet and you step 1, 2 inside the tub, and you're inside. Whereas a noodle dragon, we kind of peer over the edge and look inside, and it's this gaping valley that stretches for vast distances off into the horizon, and it looks so fearsome because as soon as we try to pull ourselves over the rim, the rest of our noodly selves just goes jumbling inside, and we are tangled inside the bathtub like a bowl of spaghetti, and it is very hard for us to unwind, and we can't have our showers, which makes it very difficult when we are trying to convince others to give us their wine, because who likes a smelly dragon in the first place? My big brother says, need to pop up briefly to get rid of some annoying kids here. We'll be back shortly. Big brother, I shall be waiting for you along with everyone else. Please make sure to save some of those kids for myself. I haven't had dinner yet. Let us see. Tien, what will you do if the wine thief appears? Well, this is the thing. For those of you that do not know, the wine thief, also known as Uncle Kage, he is currently at Arizona FurCon this weekend. He is a very busy man with a very busy convention schedule because, of course, he is invited to all of these conventions, being the celebrity that he is, and he has a duty to perform as a celebrity. So, at this weekend, he is in Arizona for Arizona FurCon, along with other figures such as the Ranting Griffin, Telephone, the Sky Dragon, along with many others. And while I wish that the wine thief would be here in order to, well, of course, heckle with my show and cause me great grief, much to your amusement, he is currently busy with a convention, and we have to respect that he has a duty to do there, whereas my duty is here, sitting in front of a camera, yelling at you while I drink wine and slowly but surely become a drunkard whore once again, and then beg for your money like the shameless celestial I am. Yes, that is how it is for this stream, but perhaps he may join for even just a brief moment and bring a friend or two with him. Kirilion, I think I remember Tien liking In Your Belief from Asura's Wrath. Yes, that is correct. That is one of my favorite songs, and if you take a listen to that song, you will have a clear idea once again of the type of music that I enjoy. Well, let us see what I can also ramble about a little more. This past weekend, are there any Canadians here? I wonder if there are any other creatures from the north watching my stream at the moment. But for any of the creatures that live up north in Kanakistani, as the wine thief likes to call it, Kanakistani had its Thanksgiving this past weekend, which is not this weekend, but the weekend before, so that would be the dates, or whatever dates that was the weekend before this one. And they had their Thanksgiving there, and it was the first time that I had been called out to witness one of these events. And I can't believe it, but as much as I hate to say it, the humans show traits quite similar to us celestial dragons, where they just stuff themselves silly and then they roll it off, and then they stuff themselves silly once again the next day and they roll it all off, and Thanksgiving just seems to be an endless cycle of stuffing their faces, cramming it full of food and noodles and and then they roll it off, and then they take more food and they shove it in. I have to stop doing that. Calm yourself, Tien. But yes, they keep on doing that, and then it just seems that they are never satiated. And as I watch and I spectate their antics over this holiday, I look at myself and I realize this is the exact same thing that I do with my sake. We are never satisfied with our gluttony because it is just so good. And all of these humans stuffing themselves silly with these turkey birds. But then something interesting happened at one of the human establishments that I had been at, where it was full to the brim, and there were many families, and in particular, there was one family that was sitting quite close to the table that I was at, and there was a little girl there. There was a little human child there that could not have been more than 3 or 4 years old. And of course, the 3 and 4 years old, they're sitting in their chairs and they're waving all about, and then they take their forks and their spoons and they become a rock band, and they're hitting it all over the table, and they're hitting the person beside them, and they're hitting the waiter when they comes, and they show no mercy to anything that comes within 10 inches of their food. And she's poking at her food at this restaurant, and she says, and she turns to to one of her parents, and she asks, "Is this a turkey bird? I don't know if it is a turkey bird or if it's just some sort of lump of meat." And the parent says, "Yes, that is a turkey bird." And the girl asks, she turns and asks, "Why do we eat all the turkey birds? What have the turkey birds done to us?" And I can't help but sit there and think, yes, that is correct. What have the turkey birds done to us? It is as if the humans up north here, and even down south of the Canadian border, they had just taken a roulette wheel one day and they spun it around because they didn't know what to eat for dinner, and they take this giant wheel full of different animals in the area, and they spun it, and another human took a dart and threw it at this wheel, and it stuck to the turkey bird. And they just said, well, for the rest of all time, on this particular date every year, we are just going to make the turkey population extinct. And that vision just came to my mind, and I couldn't help but think to myself, yes, there are other things, there are other meat sacks that we could cull as well. Well, perhaps the human population, I've heard that they've been growing uncontrollably, and for dragons such as myself, well, I am quite partial to a nice, well-roasted stuffed human, which is why I turned out to like Thanksgiving more than I would have expected, because all those humans were indeed stuffed. Let us see. Say, Belarus Sparkle, since Tien Long is here, may I ask to have him as a character in my Great Giraffe Bible? Belarus, I have already said that, yes, he is here, and you may ask him yourself personally, but I believe he has stepped out for a moment to deal with some annoying youngsters. You see, my brother and I, we share more than just traits for being brothers. We also share the same problems. We are plagued by the same sort of just troublesome things on a daily basis, even though he and I are on opposite ends of the world, with him being in Singapore and I being in Canada. It is very odd, but it seems that the celestial dragon brothers, he and I, we carry some sort of curse upon our head, or just some sort of cloud of bad luck, which is quite preposterous, because I control the clouds up there and I shoo those clouds away from myself. But we just never seem to stop encountering these annoying young children. And these annoying children are of the same caliber. They are the type that would walk up to us, and they would just pull our noodle whiskers, they would tug on them as such, and then they would run away giggling before we have a chance to run up to them and start reprimanding them for their rude, insolent actions. And then, as soon as we have forgotten about us, they come and they run behind us, and they start tugging on our tails, and it hurts like a mother noodle dragon, and it's absolutely irritating whenever these youngsters are around. I see that my big brother has returned from shooing those youngsters away. Big brother, who are those youngsters? I would like to know, so that if I come across them, I shall have a word about how they were annoying my big brother. I see that there are some youngsters posting, don't forget to donate. Yes, I appreciate your support, youngsters. If you are able to make any sort of donation, whether a one-time donation or a monthly donation, though it is not really monthly, it is more a show-by-show basis. You see, the way that the Patreon works is that for every show that I host, whether it be a public show such as this, or even a special private show for patrons only, wink wink, if I could wink, because my confounded eyelids don't work anymore. But yes, regardless, for every show, you do make a monetary donation to an old celestial dragon, and depending on the amount that you donate, you get a perk. However, these perks only apply if you donate through Patreon, so if you are so inclined to support an old dragon and his shows, then please make your way over to the Patreon. Once again, the link is down below in the description, and of course, I would greatly and eternally thank you for all of your continued support in this Grumpystream. You see, you youngsters are forcing me to be a shameless money-grabbing whore right now, because apparently I am a broke dragon, which in some realities, yes, I am, from all this trying to buy the finest sakes, and now I have to whore myself and lose my dignity even further, because, well, apparently all old dragons are just, that is how we roll. Yes, that is how we roll, yo. That is how we do our thing. Now, speaking of old dragons, this old dragon still has not woken up yet. I hope I can do so soon. Maybe perhaps a bit more sake will help with that. Well, let me see who is in attendance at the moment. I would like to see who is in attendance for this stream. Going down the list, from what I can see, we have Jerry Husky, we have Belarus Sparkle, we have Jacktail. Greetings, Jacktail. It is a pleasure to see you here. For those that do not know, Jacktail is the creator and owner of Firststream as well. So the service that I am using to stream, Jacktail is the guy in charge. So say hi and say thank you of some sort for all the hard work that he does in maintaining this site, so I can continue to yell at you some more. Where was I? Yes, moving along the list, we have Demon Tarot, we have Dynamite, we have Spirit Wolf, we have Bruno Schaefer, or Schaffer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that because an old celestial dragon just, we can't be bothered. Koryu, my big brother, we have Kyowen, Silver Gatomon, we have Kira Lion, Trumso Boy 100, Steel Wolf, Greek Yoshi Mackerel, Flashhound, Zeno, the Crab Fox, Razor Seablade, Schloppy, Sir Wags, Kara Wolfhog, Volt, and Wolfbite. So for all of you in attendance, once again, thank you for joining us, Celestial, this evening as he tries to entertain you to his utmost ability, as I always try to do. But for my patrons, if they are here, I also want to recognize my patrons, as I have also promised, because, well, that is pretty much what they pay for in the first place. So my patrons, so far, we have Volt Ashcore as well. Volt Ashcore joining us from New South Wales. And yes, he was one of the first to be a patron when I had originally put up my patron stream, so thank you very much, Volt Ashcore. Your support is much appreciated. We also have over here, we have Silent Dawn. I did not see Silent Dawn in the attendance list, which is quite a shame, because I know that Silent Dawn is quite a big fan of my streams. But if Silent Dawn is here, or will be here later, well, Silent Dawn, thank you very much as well. And we also have Zeragon as well. Zeragon is also one of the first donors on Patreon. And Zeragon, thank you very much for your contributions as well. So for those that have not visited the Patreon stream, just a monthly donation of $5 for every show I run gets you one of these personal shoutouts rather than just reading your names off of the list. And it is the least I can do, as well as provide you with the entertainment that you seem to have nothing better to do than to watch. But that is why I am here, to entertain the youngsters and perhaps share some knowledge about things that might be happening around the world or in our community or elsewhere. Let us see what else you youngsters have to say. Kara Wolfhog, Tien, have you ever come across a creature called a Shisa? I do not believe I have come across such a creature in my travels and through the thousands of years that I have lived. I would like to know what it is, if it is that interesting that you should mention it, but I do not know what a Shisa is. Let us see. Jerry, I see you got a shout-out. You were the first one on the list, so it would be hard to miss you if you didn't get a shout-out. Yes, I did a roll call just now, as I always do, and I always like to make my viewers know that they are known by me, because, well, of course, I do this show for the spectators at home. It is not because I have nothing better to do, which, of course, I don't really have anything better to do, but at the same time, this show is for the viewers, and I would like to recognize them, especially as they are keeping me company as I drink and babble like a drunken old dragon that I am until I start to haul myself out for donations, as I always do. Well, let us see what else is on the horizon that I could perhaps ramble about a little more. Well, now that I think about it, there is one thing that you humans seem to be very, very excited for, especially the furry community. I believe it is known as Halloween. Yes, it is known as Halloween, this strange human tradition where humans of all kinds dress up as characters and creatures of all kinds, and they run around to doors and they start knocking on these doors, and they go... They knock on someone's doors, and then I open the door, and I am a grumpy old dragon, and I look at them, and they look at me with their little grocery bags or their little buckets of whatnot, and they say, trick or treat, and I look at them, and I said, trick or treat? How about trick or die? And then they all look at me, and they say, ugh! And I look at them, and I say, what are you pointing at, you youngster? Haven't you ever seen a grumpy old dragon before? Standing at my door, wondering what you are doing, waking me up at midnight while I am trying to have my sleep. And they just stand there and they simply gape and they look like this. And then I say, get off my porch or die. There is no tricks and there are no treats, but there is certainly die. I am offering die. If you want some die, I have some die right here if you continue to linger on my porch. So, it's get off my porch or die. That's my little jingle for this holiday season, or this event, I should say. It is not a holiday, it's more of some silly event where you youngsters run around and knock on my door so rudely, expecting me to hand out some so-called treat. These sugary confections that are made of totally processed sugar and are terrible for your health, where I would rather hand you some dye, because handing out dye is something that I do not mind doing, because dye is free, dye is easy to do, and dye makes me happy. Yes, dye makes me very happy. So it's you get some dye, and you get some dye, and everyone gets some dye. Let us see what else you youngsters have to say. I see Kira Lion. Is colored dye a new is it a new Halloween treat? Well, Kira, if dye comes in many colors, then perhaps it is the new Halloween treat. Because well, the color that I see dye appear in most often is red. It's a crimson red that spurts out from the throats of youngsters when I reach out and grab them by the throats and I rip out their windpipes. And usually the color of the dye is red, a very deep red, and it's usually very spilly and messy all over the place. And then I look at the other youngsters standing on the porch looking at me like this. And I say, do you want some dye as well? Because I have plenty of dye to go around. So I guess dye comes in red colors most often, perhaps maybe black or so. But, well, who knows the difference when I'm standing there holding a human's windpipe in my hands. Sir Wag says, anyone notice how Tien is candy corn color? Candy corn color? Who gave you the bright idea that I am the color of candy corn? I am the color of royalty. I am the color of power, of majesty, of everything serene and divine and majestic. I am the very pinnacle of majesty itself, of the grace that celestial dragons carry, especially the ones that belong in the higher courts of the heavens. And my big brother Ting would agree as well, for he and I both like to marvel at each other and all of our combined dignity and grace. But I am not the color of candy corn. Only you humans would make such connections as candy corn and the celestial dragon. I do not even taste like candy corn. If I try to nibble on myself as I would on a candy corn, my fangs are too sharp. I cannot even nibble on myself as a test. But yes, I do not taste like candy corn. I taste like an old wrinkly prune. Yes, I taste like an old wrinkly prune, because old dragons eat prunes quite a bit, because, well, old creatures eat prunes quite a bit. So I taste like an old wrinkly prune, and that is certainly not suitable for a candy corn treat, or any treat for the matter, because, as I have already been rambling on about, all I serve at the house of Tien Long is dye. So if you come asking for treats, or tricks, or trick-or-treats, or treats and tricks, you are going to get some dye instead. Let us see. Showen asks Tien, have you ever had your house egged at Halloween? I have not had my house egged on Halloween. I know of another human creature who has had their house both egged and thrown rocks at, so they have been stoned and egged on Halloween. The stoned part was not that pleasant, because well, it caused a huge commotion, and there were a lot of flashing lights from little metal boxes called cars, and a lot of people were very angry, including myself, because it had ruined my sleep. But no, I have not had my house egged. I have, however, had my house taken its decorations down. My human slave at Halloween, he likes to go out and set it up, set up my little den, my house, all nice and pretty for the youngsters, because for some reason the youngsters are attracted to houses that have more decorations. I guess it is a sign of friendliness, or a sign of the Halloween spirit, or something of the sort. I will never understand it. But my human goes outside and he decorates the front of the house, and he decorates the house, and then it just, for some reason, those decorations are constantly taken. And I am appalled because, well, my human gets so frustrated whenever it happens, and it happens almost every year, and he is very, very much upset when that happens, and I get upset when he gets upset because no one messes with my human slave except for myself. So that is the only thing that has happened to me on Halloween. But other than that, I cannot say that I have had much of a Halloween experience. The only time I have had a Halloween experience was last year when I was in a very sour mood, and I had nothing to do on Halloween evening. But my human said, it's Halloween evening, why don't you go out and sit on the porch and serve some treats to the humans? And I said, but I only serve dye to the humans. And he said, no, you must serve treats, otherwise you are going to get in trouble, and if you get in trouble, you have no sake. And I said, no, sake, no, sake. So I got this box of treats, and I sat on the porch, and I just sat there, and I sat as I am sitting right now, in a very regal position, and I am waiting patiently there, in the bitter cold, and in the rain as well, because last year's Halloween was rainy for a celestial dragon. But thank goodness I had the cover of an umbrella, which was far too small for me. So I sat there, and I was waiting for youngsters to come, and it was nearly half an hour until a youngster had finally dared to traverse the dangerous labyrinth that is my driveway, and walked up to a celestial dragon, and clearly they did not see what was sitting there awaiting them at the end of their journey, because they looked up from counting the treats inside their little bucket, and they said, ugh! And I looked up because I had fallen asleep from all the waiting, and I said, human treat, where? It's a youngster. Youngster, what are you doing here? And they just stood there, and they said, and I looked at them, and I asked them, well, what are you waiting for? Have you lost your way? Where's your mom and dad? And right at that moment when I asked where your mom and dad was, their parents had walked up right behind them, and they were also dressed up in their garb. I think one was a pirate, and the other one was something else, like a pirate, and then one was a crocodile. So it could have been Captain Hook and Croc, for all I know. And I believe it was the Captain Hook that looked at me, and they said, oh, look, it is a lion. I have never facepalmed so hard in my life. When they had looked at me, and somehow his mind had registered that if there was a visualization of what happened, the cogs in his brain were ticking, and it said, okay, well, it's not a human. It's got a big muzzle with a tiny mouth that can't really fit anything big in it, and it's got these crystal blue eyes and some noodles on his face, and he's got 2 horns on his head, and he's very tall and very frightening. It's a lion, so I am going to call him a lion. And I looked at him, and I said, for you, sir, you do not need to ask for a trick or a treat. I am going to give you a better option. Die. And then he died. So that was my Halloween last year, along with several other casualties that no one shall ever know about, because when I eat my dinners, I don't leave a mess. Yes, for some reason I am a lion. Now, I am a lion because, well, apparently I look like a lion. Somehow, in some way, I resemble a lion. I mean, if in retrospect, if I had not been so flabbergasted, I would have looked at him straight in the eye, and I would have said to him, "Why are you lying?" And then he would have said, "No, I am Captain Hook," and I would have said, "No, but why are you lying?" And then he would have said, "No, I am Captain Hook," and I said, "Why are you lying?" And he would have said, "But I'm lying. Oh, as in lying." And then he wouldn't have gotten the pun, and then I would have just laughed, and then I would have given him some dye anyways. I am hoping that this year's Halloween is not as embarrassing for an old Celestial. Chomso boy, you would like to know when my next convention is? Midwest Furfest, Chomso boy. I believe other youngsters watching the show have mentioned that as well. Midwest Furfest will be my next convention and the last convention for an old Celestial Dragon this year. Next year, my first convention in 2016 shall be Fernal Equinox in March. Yes, Fernal Equinox in March up here in Toronto, Canada. A very, very promising 4-digit attendance convention, one that I frequent and one I am very, very proud to call a hometown convention. But I shall be at Midwest Furfest next. I know that many of you are there, so if you are at Midwest Furfest and you see me around, do approach me and say hi. For I do not bite unless you give me some unless you ask me for trick or treat, or you try to eat try to take my sake, not eat my sake, and you try to tug on my whiskers. I will not give you some dye, I promise. I shall just simply stare at you, and then I shall look away, and then I shall look at you again, and then I say, "Ah, you are on my stream! Yes, I remember you. Yes, yes, youngster, you are one of the better ones." Midwest Furfest. I am very much looking forward to that convention. Again, a convention that I frequent, and I am always, always there if I am able to be, which this year, once again, I am able to attend, which is very, very pleasing. Let us see. Silver Gatomon, you are not allowed to give me a noodle job at Midwest Furfest. No, thank you. Chomso boy, yes, buy me a bottle of sake. Yes, a bottle of sake usually will get you a very, very warm reception from me. The last time I got a bottle of sake was actually one of the best times I got a bottle of sake. It was also at Indie FurCon this year, where Sunday evening, or afternoon, I believe it was. Yes, it was Sunday afternoon. Actually, no. It was Saturday, I believe. Yes, it was Saturday afternoon. And this was after the fursuit parade, and I happened to find the wine thief there. And the wine thief, of course, he and I, we were bantering, and we were bickering, and we did all sorts of things that a wine thief and a dragon would do. And we were walking around in the hallways, and there was a particular human man who came up to us, and he stopped us, and he said, "Oh, I have a gift for you." And Uncle Kage, the wine thief, of course, he kind of just steps up and he says, "Oh, yes, yes, I'm Uncle Kage. I am a scientist. Yes, I am very professional. I'm a celebrity. Yes, I would love to accept such a generous gift from you." And the human man said, "Oh, no, not you, old man," and shoved him aside. And I just stood there. I stood there and I was beside myself. I could not stop pointing at Uncle Kage, and I just laughed as hard as I could, as hard as a Celestial can muster, for that was the first time I had seen someone literally put a hand on him and just ease him over to the side, and then he approached me with a bottle of sake, and over to the side, Uncle Kage's face just suddenly went like this. And I stood there, and I took the bottle of sake, and I said, "Oh, well, yes, this is a very generous gift. Yes, a youngster, a very, very kind youngster you are. Thank you very much. 1,000 blessings on your head." And the youngster walked away, and I turned to him, and the old wine thief was just standing there like this. And I looked at him with the bottle of sake, and I started stroking it, and I said, "Oh, yes, look at this lovely gift of sake, and it's all polished, and it's all unopened, and it's fresh, and it is exotic, and it is all mine. And he looks at me and he's just, and I said to him, yes, it is all mine, and don't you dare try to take it from me. So I had a small moment, a small but very sweet moment of victory over that wine thief at Indy Fair Con. Let us see. Sir Wags, Drama Dragon. This is the best sake ever, even better than the last bottle, which was the best sake ever. So if it is better than the best sake ever, does that not make it the bestest best sake ever? Regardless, if there is a bestest best sake ever, I would like to try it because I can tell you whether or not it is the bestest best sake ever. After all, an old celestial dragon with all my years of experience and all the dignity and majesty that we possess, how would you not trust a celestial dragon's opinion? Let us see what you youngsters have to say as well. Jerry Husky, would you be upset if we bought you wine high in alcohol? Jerry Husky, though I do not usually partake in high alcohol volume wines, I would not be adverse to it. After all, I can't reject a gift. What kind of dragon, a celestial, would I be if I were to reject such a generous gift of alcohol? So, Jerry, if you are so inclined to get me a wine that is perhaps a little higher in alcohol than what I usually partake in, well, I would not reject it, but I can't promise you that I will enjoy it as much as I enjoy a sake or a nice white wine as well. Just be forewarned, but regardless, once again, I enjoy any gift that my faithful followers would offer to me. After all, for me, a dragon, I can't really be one to talk about giving out good gifts. After all, it seems that the only thing that I am able to offer is die. Except for my big brother. My big brother Tien Long, he knows that I like to offer a lot more than that, and it usually ends up with him being utterly embarrassed by all the snugs that I like to give him, because he is my big brother, and it is the job of little brothers to undignify their big brothers. If he is listening, he would agree, very, very much so. Let us see. What was the name of the sake you shared with Kage that was milled with 23%? Volt, that was Dasai 23, the Otter Festival 23. The 23 at the end of that name obviously signifies the 23% rice koji volume, the density that they milled it down to. So they milled it down to an incredible 23% of its original husk in order to make that sake, an ultra premium sake that is very, very rare to find. But if you do not pass up the chance to buy it and perhaps, well, offer it to a celestial dragon to, well, share a drink with. I would be very much inclined if you were to offer such a fine gift. For those of you that were sponsors of me on Patreon, and I know there were 2 of you that were subscribing for $25 donations every show, I do owe you a few drawings. I shall say that I shall get to perhaps a little bit later in the show. Right now, it has just passed the 1-hour mark of the show, and I would like to continue with a little more interaction with the audience before we get to the drawing part, where I will be a little less vocal. But for those of you that did not look at the Patreon page yet, or just need a simple reminder, for my Patreons, if you donate $25 or more per show through Patreon, you are eligible to receive a drawing from myself, a live drawing right here on the Grumpystream, where I take a pad and I take a pen and I do something that you request. Obviously, it has to be PG and you know, not anything ridiculously obscene or difficult, but I will draw it to the best of my ability as an old dragon can, and if you so desire, I can upload it digitally for you, or I can even mail it out to you. But yes, that is one of the few reward perks that you will find on my Patreon, along with many others. For example, for those of you that also subscribe to my Patreon for a value of $10 or more, you will also notice that I say you will be included on a wall of fame, which is more specifically a wall of my supporters, which I shall be uploading soon after this Grumpy stream finishes. But I was waiting to see if there'd be any more Patreon subscribers, and I hope that, well, if you are an avid fan of the show, you would consider, once again, providing a little bit more support if you are able to. No obligation, of course, but of course, every dollar goes towards making every show a little bit better. Some of you in the past have also asked, along with asking in the old Wine Thieves wine stream, whether or not we will do another collaboration again. And in response to that, I must say, well, unfortunately, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, these confounded human rules force a dragon to pay in order to fly. Now, he lives quite far from I am, which means that I would have to fly in order to do another collaboration with him. And that, unfortunately, takes quite a few shiny coins out of the Celestial Dragon's sake stash. But with the support of the watchers and the viewers that enjoy seeing both my stream and the Wine Thief stream, perhaps we can make another collaboration happen soon if you were to subscribe to my Patreon. Let us see what else people have to say about my incessant whoring out. Tien, have some sake, because you turn into a money-grubbing whore when you don't drink sake. Kyoen, I like the way you think. I like the way you think indeed. I see that there are a few responses from my viewers that say, oh, well, I can't donate, or it's too much for me to donate. That is why, once again, I say there is no obligation to be a supporter, but I do ask for those that are considering donating or have that appreciation of what I do for you on my Grumpy streams, is that if you are able to and you would like to have a little bit of a more richer experience and one where I do a few more things for you, then consider a donation, whether it be one time or through Patreon, and again, I will be most grateful for your continued support. Either way, however, at the end of the day, you being here and keeping me company, that is all the support that I ever ask for. The Patreon and one-time donations are completely supplemental, and they are not required. Let us see. Flashhound, have some sake, Tien. You get grumpy when you're not drinking. I don't know, because it comes as a strange paradox. This is the Grumpy stream, is it not? And the Grumpy stream would connote that I have to be grumpy, which, truthfully, I could be very grumpy if I wanted, from all of you youngsters telling me that I need to be grumpy. And how dare you ask a grumpy old dragon to be grumpy on a Grumpy stream, because it is like you are trying to make me grumpy! But yes, I get grumpy when I am not drinking, and I still get grumpy when I am drinking, because the problem with drinking is that usually I only have so much, and so much is not enough. And when it's not enough, that means I finish it faster, and when I finish it faster, it means that it is gone, and when it is gone, I get grumpy again. So you see, it is a loop that leads into this same ending every single time. It is several branches of things I could do that all lead into the same ending, which is me running out of sake. And that itself is a tragedy. Let me see what else you youngsters have to say. Jerry Husky, have you ever drank so much that you started wobbling? Oh, Jerry Husky, do you think that I have built up this tolerance from just being naturally good at drinking? No, after thousands of years of drinking, I have been able to drink without falling flat on my face, but that means that I had to start off with falling flat on my face before I learned how not to fall flat on my face. However, there was one time, some of you may remember, there was one time where I had 2 full bottles of wine, There were big bottles of white wine, both of them Rieslings. I think this was back in a Grumpystream in May or something. This was the Grumpystream where I had hoard myself out to shake my butt in front of the camera for donations. And that was the start of the Big Dragon Bum Fund, if I recall correctly. But this was the stream where I had 2 full bottles of wine, without taking any sort of break or any refreshment in between. And at the end of that stream, as soon as I clicked the stop button on the little computer thing that my human uses, I could not even get up from my seat. I started doing something like this. I went back, I went left, right, up, and down, and it felt like I was in some sort of some motion ride in an amusement park, the type where you are facing a giant T-Rex with these googly glasses, and you can't see anything, and suddenly the T-Rex jumps out, and you go, there's a T-Rex, and then it goes back, and you go back forward, and you are just being thrown all over the place, and you go for a 360 spin around in a loop, and my world felt like that for the next hour or so before I passed out on my face in my bed. And during that entire time, for those of you that were there, I was stumbling around and wandering around, and my human's phone had actually been ringing the entire time, the last few minutes of the stream, and it was none other than my big brother and the wine thief himself. They were calling me to tell me that I had had enough and that I should stop the stream. And at the next day, when I woke up and I was dreadfully hungover, I looked at them, I sent a message back to them and said, I was just getting started. What are you guys talking about? And they started saying, and I gave them a good scare. But that was the last time that an old grumpy dragon had been wobbling, and it was actually quite an experience because, well, although I would not like to be doing it when I have responsibilities, the way that I was spinning around in circles, it was like I was experiencing the world in new ways I had never done so before, and it was like bright lights were shining in my face, and explosions of cosmic proportions were happening in my eyes, and the world was spinning endlessly around and around, and I could almost see the entire galaxy, and everyone on the screen looked funny, and the names started appearing all over the air and in the rooms around me as if they were being projected onto the walls. And well, I am very dizzy now. Where am I? What year is this right now? Where am I right now? Why am I not up in the clouds? Ugh. An old dragon's head is getting loose and senile. Let us see what else you have to say. Flashhound, how was Anthrocon, Tien? Flashhound, Anthrocon was, well, Anthrocon for me was quite an interesting experience. It was my second Anthrocon this year, and it was accompanied by my big brother, Tien Long. Now, Tien Long, my big brother, had come all the way from Singapore, and I had my human slave go and fetch him from the airport. Once again, dragons have to fly in this human world, and they have to pay in order to fly, and they have to ride in these tiny little snack boxes that have these little things on the side, and it goes in the air, and then it disappears, and then they arrive. So I had my human slave pick him up from the airport, and they had arrived at the hotel, and they spent a lot of time together eating unhealthy foods and romping around, and trying to generally stay sane during the insanity of Anthrocon. But personally myself, I was not able to see much of Anthrocon because I was sick half of the time. My big brother and myself, we caught some sort of sake flu. I could not believe it. We caught a flu that I still believe to this day was caused by the lack of sake that we had at Anthrocon, which is a complete disaster because how could we enjoy a convention while we are down with a sickness that is caused by the lack of sake, something that Anthrocon of all places should have been filled with. I mean, it was absolutely preposterous because he and I were only able to go out briefly on Friday and on Saturday, but we were just stricken down with this illness, and we had no sake to help treat our ailment. It was absolutely dreadful. But the moments that we were able to make it out and about at Anthrocon, it was quite amusing, so to say. to have people suddenly say, oh, it is not one grumpy dragon, it is two grumpy dragons. That means twice the whiskers to pull. And he and I we were beside ourselves because all of the youngsters that came up to us and they started pulling on our whiskers and pulling on our tails and trying to give us noodle jobs. And I kept on trying to say, no whisker pulling, no tail pulling, no noodle jobs, no hugs, no cuddles, no snuggles, no adorableness, no cuteness, nothing of the sort. Yes, that was my Anthrocon experience. My human slave, on the other hand, he was running amok pretty much all of Anthrocon, where he was non-stop moving from panel to panel as he fought to basically keep control of all of the panels that he was running. And at Anthrocon, when 500 things are happening at once that you must take care of, it becomes very, very difficult to actually enjoy yourself. If the wine thief was here, he would also agree. After all, he is the one that runs Anthrocon. But for myself and my human slave, especially my human slave, he has taken on more responsibility that has thrown him right into the middle of all that chaos. I am hoping to make it to Anthrocon next year, which is most likely, and I shall hope to be there in a much better condition than I currently am in. I am also hoping that perhaps with some luck, I shall be joined once again by my big brother from Singapore. It is very, very difficult for him to come out on such a frequent basis, but, well, the brothers cannot stay apart for much longer than, well, as long as we've already been apart, which is too long. So, with any luck, my big brother shall return to Anthrocon with me next year, and the Grumpy brothers shall be stomping around Pittsburgh once more. For those of you that have not been to Anthrocon, such as Tromso Boy, as you say, hopefully you can make it one year. Anthrocon is quite an experience if you are able to make it. And even if you end up just going once, even once is more than enough to show you the magic that is the community and how far we have really grown since its early days back in the 1990s and even the 1980s. So I highly suggest that if you have not visited Anthrocon, you should definitely do so for the experience and to reaffirm yourself as why we love this community, because it really is, in my opinion, the best image of the furry fandom and how it is highlighted in the ways that we have grown and the ways that we have supported each other, as well as the charities that conventions such as Anthrocon and others support. Belarus, you ask, are you okay with drinking Pinnacle whipped cream flavored vodka? I have absolutely no idea what that is and cannot fathom what that would taste like, so I can only say that I will have to try it in order to give you a proper answer. Pinnacle whipped cream flavored vodka. Now, this is the curious thing that I would like to know, is that I have seen whipped cream before, and whipped cream usually goes on confections such as baked goods like pies or tarts or cakes or things such as that. But to have it in a liquid form, if you were to take a can of whipped cream and instead of spraying it down your mouth as such, you were to take that can of whipped cream and to pour it down your mouth as if it were a liquid, and on top of that to have that liquid alcoholic so that it makes you go spinning round and round as if you were in a motion ride at an amusement park, battling spaceships and aliens and T-Rexes all at once. I think that is an experience that I would like to try for sure. Let us see what else you youngsters are up to. Kyoan, I see that you are posting things right now. I do not know what you are posting, but I would like to know. I would dearly like to know. Why are you posting butts, Kyoan? I do not understand why you are posting butts. Who is posting pictures of the alien guys going butts? When have I ever done a picture like this and going butts? Huh? But butts. It is absolutely preposterous. That History Channel guy, the aliens guy as he is sometimes known as, like, how could you youngsters even think about doing something like that to me? I am a celestial dragon with more dignity than that. running around and so doing this and staring at a nice, firm, round-shaped, muscular butt full of booty goodness and firm and squishy at the same time and shows beautiful anatomy and just staring at it and doing this and saying, but I am not a celestial dragon stooping down to that low grade. You youngsters are honestly incorrigible, asking to see an old wrinkly dragon's butt. Have you no other butts to look at that are more interesting than an old dragon's? After all, there's the internet that you are all using to look at the stream, are you not? And therefore, if you are on the internet, you can search up butts that look better than an old dragon's, unless I start shamelessly whoring myself out for more money in order to show my butt, which is what I bet you youngsters would like to see, huh? I bet you youngsters secretly enjoy it when I haul myself out and solicit my Patreon just so I can show my butt once more. You youngsters are incorrigible. How much sake do I have left? I have a feeling that, yes, I need a refill soon, which that bottle I had does not even have anything close to a refill. Ah, what a shame. I shall have to open the second bottle, which I was hoping to save, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And just like that, my sake is done once again, which is actually quite tragic. Which means I need a refill now, so I will give myself a refill. I cannot open my sippy cup bottle again. I'll give myself a refill in a little moment when I shall take a brief intermission, which actually I should have mentioned that earlier as well, which is now starting from this stream forth, I shall be starting to incorporate intermissions into my stream, just so an old dragon has time to stretch himself out and make sure that he has his refills of sake, and think about more things that I could yell into the camera about in order to make your evening a little more entertained, and perhaps, well, prepare some other materials that I need, such as my pad and pen that I need in order to draw those images for those Patreons that have paid for them. So I shall do that. It is currently 8:23. In 7 minutes at 8:30, I shall take a brief intermission, perhaps 5 minutes or so, and then we shall get back to the show, as I do not want to keep all of you waiting. And I have also prepared some lovely music in order to accompany that intermission that I think you shall all find very, very suitable. Yes, Dynamite, I know this big dragon bum fund that you keep on soliciting. And the youngsters here, they seem to be all annoyed that I keep on soliciting my Patreon, when in reality they want to hear me solicit a big dragon bum fund. Isn't that right, you insolent youngsters? You would rather me shamelessly solicit my butt than solicit my webpage. You youngsters really have perverted minds. Get them out of the gutter! Kara Wolfhog, I own a dragon flute, so if I played it right now, would it summon you? Kara, I am not sure which dragon flute it is, but if it was a dragon flute that was in the shape of a wine gourd, then perhaps it would summon me. If it was any old dragon flute, then it would summon any old dragon. But if you had a dragon flute that was in the shape of a wine gourd or wine jug, then I think it shall do an effective job of summoning me. Just don't be alarmed when you see a massive dragon towering and crashing through your house or your residence, and, well, perhaps incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars of property damage. Zalno, yes, I understand that you have your brother there as well, and, well, as much as I would like to have you join, I understand if your brother is here and you get into whatever shenanigans you youngsters get into. I am not sure what shenanigans youngsters get into, and frankly, I've heard stories that make me not want to know, but regardless, I still appreciate you joining me tonight, as well as everyone else who has joined me so far. I'm hoping that I am able to stretch this stream out as long as I can, although when the sake runs out, the stream also runs out as well. So I am hoping that this last refill of sake is enough to tide me over until the end of the stream, where I am able to sufficiently entertain you all and perhaps plan something special for the next time as well to, I don't know, provide a little more incentive for more donors to my stream. Kyoan asks, Tian, where is your pet dragon? Ah, you mean Xiaolong Bao. So Xiaolong Bao he is currently watching the rest of my wine stock, although, to be quite honest, whenever I put him on guard duty in front of my cellars, that is most frequently when my wine is stolen. So I am not sure if either he is very bad at his job, or he is corroborating with the thieves that keep on breaking into my cellars so often and making off with my wine. So I have yet to interrogate Xiaolong Bao as to the inadequacy of his job performance, but he is currently guarding it right now, and I hope that wine thief, even though he is in Arizona, I hope he won't be breaking in anytime soon. Jerry Husky, as I had said earlier, I will be getting my refill in approximately 4 minutes, when I shall take a short intermission, just so an old dragon has a little bit of time to recover, and so that perhaps you also have time to get a refill, or do whatever business it is that you other creatures, you youngsters, need to do as well. Let us see what else you have to say. Silver Gatomon, I want to see Tien twerk. Of course you want to see me twerk. What is it with you youngsters and all of this need to see an old dragon's wrinkly, pruny, pear-shaped bum? Actually, it is not more of a pear shape. It is more of the shape of how would I describe it? Not a peanut, perhaps a pumpkin, maybe even a dragon fruit. Even though a dragon fruit is a little bit spiky and frilly, so if a butt were shaped like a dragon fruit, that means it would have like these strange little spiky leaves twirling off of it, and it would look very grotesque, and I don't think it would make for a good aesthetic appearance. So no, I shall not comment on what my butt actually looks like, but no, I will not set up that big dragon bum fun until I have had at least another bottle of sake, so don't ask until I've had that. Ah! Yes, Flash. I agree with Flash wholeheartedly. Watching me twerk is a nightmare to watch. And it is almost as much a nightmare as was a very interesting game that I had been recently introduced to by my human slave named Undertale. Now, many of you are probably gasping right now when you hear that name because, oh, Tien knows about Undertale. Wow, he is more of a youngster than we had thought. I will tell you right now that it was not me, but my big brother that had introduced me to Undertale, and if my big brother says so, then I do so. And that is not an excuse to go to my big brother and ask him to tell me to twerk my butt. So, my big brother showed me the game Undertale, and I was going along this very cute little game, and I told myself, oh yes, this is a cute little game, I can finish this game before bed, and yes, it is very fun, and, you know, this is a cute little game. And then I come across the final fight of the very first time I played it. I came across the final boss, and it was just I am not going to say what it was, especially because those that have not played yet. But it shattered everything that I knew about humanity and its twisted imagination, and how I viewed games in general. And because first I thought they were just plain stupid and a waste of time, and now I realize that games are essentially where all of these perverted mindsets come from. Because if you know what I am talking about, the final boss of that game, Undertale, just what kind of perverted, sick, twisted human mind created such an abomination? Ah. So yes, watching me twerk is much worse than what I had encountered a few days ago. Dynamite. Dynamite asks or says, I hope someone is recording this stream. For those of you that are out there, you will be happy to know that I am recording the stream myself for the very first time, as I am hoping to record the stream in high quality so that I may put it out on YouTube, that all of the public will be able to see, as well as contribute to my Patreon page. Yes, even more shameless whoring out, I know, but I will post it on my Patreon stream in hopes that it would perhaps again persuade a few of my viewers that are able to donate a little more and therefore contribute to my show and make it a little bit better each and every single time. How it would make it better? Well, it would make it better by allowing me to do a few more special things, such as bring in more props, or even bring in guests to the stream, or even fly me out to certain areas where I may be a guest on a certain stream as well. But I will not talk about that any further, at least for now, because I am sure you are all sick and tired of hearing me preach about this Patreon of mine, and would rather hear me shamelessly haul myself out for my big dragon bum fun that I know does not exist except in the mind of you perverted youngsters. Jerry Husky, why did you not record the last few streams? Well, Jerry Husky, an old dragon such as myself, it was very difficult to figure out how to even turn on a computer in the first place. Because when I first encountered these machines called computers, after I descended to Earth from the heavens, my human host and my slave, my current slave, he had told me in order to use these fantastic portals to another realm, to the digital realm, I had to turn it on. And I looked at him and I said, you have to turn it on? And he said, yes, you have to turn it on. It requires turning on, and you must give it a lot of juice, and you have to make sure that it is plugged in, and you have to plug it very tightly and make sure it's secure before it is turned on. And I said, but turning on a computer, it is a piece of metal put together parts put together in a box, and surely it does not have as complex as feelings as being turned on. And he said, oh, you would be surprised. Oh, you would be surprised indeed, because you can indeed turn on a computer. And I started looking at the computer, and I looked all around it, and this was a very, very, very scary, intimidating piece of metal box machinery. And I started poking at it, and I started prodding at it, and I was not sure where its buttons were, because he gave me a hint. He posed this as a challenge, and he said, oh, this computer can be easily turned on if you push its buttons correctly. And then I looked at him and I said, what do you mean by pushing its buttons? And he said, well, if you want to turn it on, you'll have to push its buttons correctly. And I looked at him and I looked at the computer, and I looked at him and I looked at the computer, and I thought, well, I might as well give it a go. After all, what other dignity could I lose by turning on a computer? So I started going around, and I was feeling the computer all over, trying to find this magical button that would turn it on. And I'm not sure if it was my imagination or the computer itself, but I heard it start whirring, and it started chirping and some other noises that I could not really describe, but I figured I was turning it on. So I started rubbing against its side a little more and caressing its backside with all its little holes and panels, and it just started getting louder and louder and louder, and then I found a little thing that started gently pressing inward. So I pressed it, and it was the button. And I pressed the button, and then it just went whoosh, and then the internet happened, and then Rule 34 popped up on my screen, and then a lot of Rule 34s popped up on my screen, and I said, ugh, this is what you use computers for, you sick-minded human. So, in other words, yes, Jerry, it takes a celestial dragon a long time to figure out how to use computers, which is why this is the first time I am successfully able to record this stream. At least I am hoping it is recording, because I have not checked it, but perhaps I shall in this intermission, which, yes, I know you youngsters are asking me to get a refill. I see what time it is, but you shall not interrupt me while I am in the middle of one of my stories. Yes, I see. Refill, 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 refill. I shall get my refill right now if you youngsters are so tired of watching me. Bah! I shall be back in just a few moments. In the meantime, please enjoy this. Where is this thingy, this mouse thingy? In the meantime, please enjoy the elevator music I have to offer you. Ah, all right, I am back, you youngsters. Yes, I know you had all missed me, and I promised it would be a quick intermission, but an old celestial dragon also has things to do. So just get its refill of sake, which I now do have my refill of sake. So I shall enjoy this refill of sake, and for those of you that still have drinks left, well, here's to you as well. Ganbei. You know, the more I drink this particular sake, this Masumi Kurakuchi Kurakachi Kippon Junmai Genjo piece of shit chlorine bottom of the barrel trash sake, the more I drink it, the more the taste goes away. And I think that is the concept with all of these trash sakes. No wonder I see these humans all the time. Whenever I go to these dining establishments, and I see that the bar menu, whenever it has sake, it only has the bottom of the barrel trash label, such as Gekkeikan or Shochukubai, or their Tozais, or their whatever it might be, and they serve these terrible, cheap, literally made it with mud water and day-old cooked rice, and I realize that they sell it because the people that drink these sakes, they simply don't care anymore. They've already had their pre-drink and their pre-game, and therefore when they already order these things at the bar, they can't even taste the difference between the good stuff and the bad stuff anymore. They just want to wave the glass at their friends and say, "Oh, look at me! I am drinking sake. I am dignified. I am classy. Yes, I am. I am like an old celestial regal dragon, one of the elders of the skies, the god of the skies, in fact. I am drinking sake, yes, and I have noodles in my face that are... and yes, I am drinking sake, and it is so delicious, and look at me, I am drinking more sake. And that is essentially how that wine thief works as well. If you have not noticed, that is essentially how his thing works. Is, oh yes, I am holding a glass of sake and the grumpy dragon doesn't have it, but I do, and therefore it means that I am the grumpy, the old celestial, regal, the scientist. I am a very important figure, yes I am, and I am drinking the sake yes, that is the whole concept of drinking sake to these human creatures. Yes, Greek Yoshi, I said cheers in another language. In particular, I said cheers in Mandarin, one of the Chinese languages and one of the languages of the Celestial tongue. So I usually try to keep it a little more, well, so to say, authentic when a Chinese Celestial such as myself wants to toast or to cheer to both the audience that he is drinking with and as well to the drink itself, because you must honor what you are drinking, otherwise it won't taste as good. And this is a philosophy that you can apply to anything that you do or that you partake in life as well. If you are not enjoying it fully, if you are not putting your entire effort into something that you are doing, something that you are simply interacting with, you will never find true enjoyment, you will never find true enlightenment in what you are doing. Take the drinking, for example, once again. If you believe that this drink is a piece of trash drink and that you are going to absolutely despise it and it is going to poison you and you are not going to have a good time, then yes, it will probably poison you, or you will probably fall on the ground, and you will probably look like, and you will probably have a nice big serving of dye. But if you try to indulge yourself in the drink, you immerse yourself in all of its complexity, all of its refinery, all of its alcoholism, which is probably not what you should enjoy, but it's part of the experience, then it'll probably taste a lot better to you. Now, there are a few exceptions to this, such as the Gaikakan and the Sochukubais and all of these other bottom-of-the-barrel trash sakis where it doesn't get better no matter how you try to enjoy it. But the concept where you must put your 100% being into whatever you do, whatever you participate in. You cannot just put half of yourself into what you are doing. You must put your entire being. You must dedicate your whole being into whatever you are doing or partaking in all aspects of life, whether it be drinking or eating or whatever aspirations or goals you have, whether you go to work, you are studying, whether you are perhaps trying out a new hobby. If you are not putting your whole being into it, if you are not being passionate about it, then you might as well not be doing it at all. It is the same concept with noodle jobs even. If I have my dignified noodles here and I decide to perhaps only grow my noodles only up to here and they're not noodles anymore and the noodles are the length of my noodles, yes. And my noodles are only this long. What is the point of having these noodles? They look like little windshield wipers in that case. If they were this short and I only grew halfway out, and they'd only be window wipers whenever went into it raining, and it would look like this, and they are also off rhythm because my windshield wipers are outdated right now, and I can't see anything right now. But instead, I have chosen for my noodles to completely immerse myself and be passionate about my noodles, and they have grown out long and regal as such. And it is almost the same thing for humans as when they have facial hair as well. I walk around each and every day and I see a lot of humans and they see me and they usually run away in fear. But I see them for long enough that I can see what is on their faces, such as the noodle dragons. For humans, there are either one or two ways to walk about, especially as a male, to walk about and portray yourself, which says a lot about your character. Either you are clean-shaven, you are completely clean-shaven, and you look like you just stepped out of a magazine for some sort of men's health or some modeling or something of the sort, or you are fully rugged and have an illustrious beard that says, yes, I'm a tough human being, and I am a lumberjack sort of type, and I can fix your car, and I can build a house for you, and I can sweep your lady off your feet and steal her away from you forever. There is no in-between. If you have this human that has this dirty stash, or he's unshaven and he looks like he just rolled out of hibernation, you cannot have that. That is simply no way to treat yourself or your well-being. You have to put your 100% whole self into whatever you do. So it is the same concept when you are drinking, whether you are eating, whether you are doing anything in life. Make sure that you put your 100% self into it, and just don't just go halfway with whatever you're doing. Well, that was a very unexpected tangent, but let us see what you youngsters are saying at the moment. Dynamite, you are asking me to have a look at Twitter. Are you saying my Twitter or your Twitter? Because I have no idea what you are saying. If you want me to look at the Twitter, that means you want me to go bird watching. And I have already seen a lot of birds earlier today when I went on a nice little nature stroll through my city. Of course, usually when I take strolls through my city, I end up rearranging it a little bit. If you can see over my shoulder that way, there's a city. That city no longer exists because it looked too pretty. And in my ideal state, cities cannot look this pretty when a giant towering celestial dragon is about. That city over there is no longer looking like that because I rearranged it quite a long time back. But I like to keep it there and look at it just to remind myself that, well, I have the power to change such picturesque scenes. Let us see. Yes, Spirit of the Wolf, I have read that line several times. I am glad that you found the fandom. I am glad that you found the fandom and happiness, and I hope that you continue to do so. Yes. Sir Wag says his noodles bring all the foodies to the yard. They're like, I want to slip yours. Damn right they want to slip my noodles. I mean, how dare they want to slip my noodles? What are you talking about? There are no noodles in my yard. My yard is full of weeds and not weed. No, it is not full of weed. I promise you it is not full of weed. My yard is full of weeds. Yes, the plural version, not the singular version. It is full of weeds. Yes, and rabbits, because apparently rabbits enjoy tormenting a celestial's yard with their rabbit holes and eating all of my plants and messing with my vines and all that sort of stuff. So there are no noodles in my yard, and there is definitely no weed in my yard as well. I have given all that weed away, and there are just weeds now. Ah. You want me to check my Twitter? Is that correct, Dynamite? Well, let us see what you have on my Twitter. What is this that you are showing me on Twitter? A sake-flavored noodle jar? Of course, you youngsters would take a screenshot of me putting my noodles in my mouth innocently. There was no ill intent, nor perverse intent behind me putting my noodle in my mouth, because I put my noodles in my mouth. And there is no ill intent. I am simply showing you that I am putting my noodles in my mouth, and when I put my noodles in my mouth, I am simply putting my noodles in my mouth for the sake of putting my noodles in my mouth, and there is no other intent behind it, yes. And I most definitely do not enjoy it, so you better not think that I enjoy it, because I do it because I am secretly using it as a ploy in order to make you laugh and chuckle, and therefore throw your shiny coins at me, and I guess it works somehow. Alright. Well, I think it is an appropriate time to break out my pad and pen, because I know that I have a few patrons here that I owe a few drawings to. My very first round of Patreon drawings. And once again, for the patrons that are here and want to receive their drawings, I hope that, well, I am able to deliver upon your idea. But again, please bear in mind that I am not the best artist, although I will try to do your patronage support. Alright, let us see who shall be first in line. So the first patron I see in line that has donated... So I believe it was Silver Gatamon who was first, but there was also Volt Ashcore. Volt Ashcore, is that correct? You also donated it. Volt, are you still here? This chat has frozen on me. What the hell happened to this chat? Is Volt still here? Volt Ashcore the Dragon, are you still here? Because I am calling upon you at the moment, so that you may receive your Patreon pledge drawing at the moment. Volt Ashcore, are you still here? I think he went to... No, he is there. He did not go to bed. He is still here. So let me quickly grab my pen and my paper. My goodness. Oh, alright. What do I need? That's too small. I don't like them small, I like them big. Why are they all small? All of these pens that my human have are all small. What is the use of having it small? It won't even show, it won't even fit. It won't even look nice. It only looks nice if it's big. If it's small, that doesn't count. That's like a consolation prize. That's like, oops, sorry, you got the bad luck of the draw. Here's something small. Alright, I got the big one. I got the big tip size, because big tip sizes are more important when you're drawing, yes. Alright, let's see. You see this right here? This is This is the Tien Long sketchbook right here. I need to pop open the screen at the moment. Where is this mousy mouse thing? Mousy mouse, see? This is the Tien Long book over here. This is what my human slave uses in order to doodle a lot of things, but he has not used it in a long time, and I have reappropriated it for the stream purposes. So, let us see what I can do for my patrons so far. I need an empty page. Yes, I have found an empty page. This is good. This is very good indeed. I have found an empty page. So, now, Volt, let us see what you would like me to draw you. You say, could you draw me enjoying a drink alongside you? Yes, I think I could draw you enjoying a drink beside me. I just have to figure out how to draw you. Volt, if you could be so kind and you could send me a picture reference of your character, and I will be able to, but right now I will try to draw myself in a totally not cute manner. It shall not be cute in any way whatsoever. I shall draw myself drinking alongside you, or I think it sounds better if it was you drinking alongside me. Yes, that sounds a lot better. So currently at the moment I am drawing a dragon. I am drawing two faces. And one of the faces is very happy right now. I will try to show you if I am able to. Yes, let us see. See, I have drawn two faces. Can you guess who is who? One is the happy one, and one is the not so happy one. And clearly, I am the very happy one. And Volt is right over here. Volt is on that side, and that is like Volt's face. And Volt's face is saying, "I can't believe I paid to have myself drawn beside this grumpy old drunkard, money whoring celestial, and this is what I get in return. I cannot believe it." Let us see. Let us see. Let me see, Volt. Volt, if you are able to, again, provide that reference, I can continue it at least. Thank you very much, Volt. Very kind of you. Now, let me see. Tromso boy, how about you challenge everyone in the chat to draw you? Well, Tromso boy, that challenge is already somewhat implied already. So, if you in the stream would like to draw me, well, I am always open to gifts of any kind, whether it be Patreon subscriptions, or whether it be sake donations, or art gifts of any sort. I'm always open for people to draw me. So, thank you for the reference, Volt. I shall try to do you justice. So, yes, he's got a nose. Volt has a nose. It is very good. If you have a nose, it signifies that you can smell things, and hopefully it's not smelly. Hopefully I am not smelly in this picture as well. So let me see. He's got hair. I believe he's got hair or spikes of some sort. I am not sure what that is, but I shall draw it anyways. Let me see. He's got a very large chest as well. Yes, well, he's got a big chest, and I approve of big things. As I told you, if it's not big, don't bother with it, because it's like what I was saying earlier about putting your 100% into it. And why bother with it if you're not going to put your 100% into it? So if you're not going to do 100% chest days, then why bother with chest days at all? You have to do a 100% pectoral day or 100% arms day, not just 50-50 everything. You have to put your whole dedication into doing something. Oh yes. And there's his wine glass, drawing his wine glass, and should I draw his manly pecs? Apparently Volt Ashkor has some very large pectorals because he understands the concept of big things looking more impressive than small things, and of course, well, I cannot really ignore that fact, because in his reference, that is pretty much the most prominent thing that I can see. It is like the pectorals right now, they're like two large watermelons being sold to me by a Chinese street vendor, where the Chinese street vendor on the streets of Hong Kong or the streets of Taiwan, they just come up to you and they're holding two melons at their pecs like this, and they look like giant cocos, and he starts banging on them like the watermelon. They just go, and he starts banging on the watermelons, and he's showing off how big his watermelons are, and he's bouncing his melons up and down, and he walks up to you shaking his melons, and he says, "You want these fresh watermelons? These fresh watermelons, so good, very good for you. Only $100 for a watermelon, so good for you." And it's just preposterous, because the first thing I think of when I see these giant pectorals are these two giant watermelons rubbing together, smacking together in my face. And it is very inappropriate. Yes, it is very much so, because watermelons have more dignity than that. Watermelons should have more dignity than to be smacked together and paraded around as a pair of giant pectorals. After all, watermelons have feelings as well. I bet there's a watermelon god that hung his head in shame when he saw his fellow watermelon being abused in such manners. Anyhow, where was I? Yes, drawing. Volt Asco having a drink with me. I was a little passionate there about watermelons. I apologize, because watermelons, I feel, are very misunderstood. Watermelons, they're very green on the outside, but they're very bright red on the inside. And when you look at them on the outside, they're all green, and they're all round, and they're all big, and almost freakish-like. And people almost avoid them because they see it's like some sort of abomination, some alien fruit. But I feel it has some semblance to the Hulk as well. For those of you that know of the Hulk, the green radioactive mutant monster, and he is all green and massive and round like a watermelon, but he is also very freakish and misunderstood by people. And watermelons, I feel, are the same way. So I believe that, you know, watermelons should have a little more respect from the people. And the next time that you go and eat some watermelons, you pay them some respect, the respect they deserve. So let us see. He's got those big pectorals, yes he does. And he's got this massive chest as well, and he's got his six-pack as well. He's got 6 packs, because all dragons must look good and have 6 packs. Which is a bit of a contradiction, because I myself do not have a 6-pack. The only 6-pack I wish I had was a 6-pack of sake. If there was such a thing, but unfortunately these humans are not clever enough to develop such a thing. There should be more 6-packs of sakes, I believe. It would make buying sake a lot easier for me. Yes, he's got his 6-pack, and he's got his wine glass, and he's got his tail. And I am not sure what his tail has on it, but I will put some spikes on it and whatnot, because spikes on a tail looks good. And he's got a lightning mark on his face. I've tried to put a lightning mark on his face, but it doesn't seem to work, because I cannot draw. An old dragon is very terrible at drawing indeed. And then there is myself. I cannot even draw myself. What is this? I am drawing myself a lot more happy than I usually am, and I cannot look happy because I am not a happy celestial dragon. If you think I am a happy celestial dragon, I don't know where you got that notion, but I am most definitely not. There's a reason why I am named Grumpy Tien Long, and this is the Grumpystream, and I am always constantly running out of sake. Enjoying. I do not seem to be enjoying myself at the moment with this glass, because this glass is not big enough and it is constantly empty. I shall draw myself with an empty glass. Yes. So far, this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can show you all right now. I do not know how that will stay on the screen, but this is what it looks like. Yes, if you can't see, I have, if I can manage this, my glass down here somewhere. Yes, there, that glass right there. It is empty. You all notice that glass is empty. It reflects my soul right now. It is empty because my glass is almost empty, and that bottle I have over there is also empty from that refill. And right now, see, he has a full glass of wine, and I don't. See, look, I am employing the use of Hollywood zoom effects right now. All the zoom ins and outs so you can see that this is dynamic action and that there is something very interesting going on here. But yes, you see, that is him enjoying a drink with me, but clearly I am not enjoying the drink because my glass is empty. Well, I think I shall add just a little bit more, perhaps a little background or something of the sort, or a caption that says that my glass is empty. Yes, over here, empty glass. Empty glass. There we are. Oh. And the Celestial's deck is a little too craned at the moment. What else should I draw? I'm wondering if I should put my chair in the back. I shall put the chair I'm sitting on behind me. A dragon's armchair, yes it is. An old dragon's chair, because an old dragon's back is terrible. He needs to sit often. Let us see, there. I have added some additions to... my biggest fan is getting in the way. I've added some additions. Right there, I have my chair I am sitting on, and I'm sharing a drink, and I have this empty glass, and he is all happy. See, he's so happy, he's making my page bounce right now, and I am employing more Hollywood effects, and this is a popular Hollywood effect called the shaky cam, where the camera is shaking all over the place, and it disorients you, meaning there's something very epic happening. All right, well, I shall sign that later, and Volt, if you so wish, I can send that out to you, because I will offer that option to those Patreon, those patrons that so wish for me to send them the drawing that I draw for them. So, Volt, that will be your drawing. I may add a little bit more, I probably will, but we shall keep in touch about that post the stream. Alright, so, I believe the second one, the second patron was it Silent Dawn? I'm not sure if it was Silent Dawn. I believe it was Silent Dawn. But Silent Dawn, I don't believe, is in attendance in this stream tonight. I hope she is in the stream tonight. Silent Dawn, if you are there. Silent Dawn, if you are there, I do believe I owe you a drawing as well, and I would greatly appreciate if I could get you your drawing. Let's see if I can see. I want to see if anyone is home. Yes, Silent Dawn. Silent Dawn, I believe, is not here in the stream tonight. Yes, Volt, I will be able to send it to you after the stream sometime. We shall get in contact, and I will be able to send this to you signed and whatnot. Yes, Bree, yes, we must not forget to constantly worship our giraffe god Bree, yes. Anyhow, the next person would then be Silvergatomon, because Silvergatomon tonight also made a pledge to my Patreon. Thank you once again, Silvergatomon. Your support is greatly appreciated, and all of the rest of your reward levels will be fulfilled sometime after this stream ends, which includes the wall of patrons or the wall of fame, whatever sounds nicer to you. Now let me open up a new page. These human books are confoundedly difficult to maneuver. Come on. There we are. Alright, Silvergatomon. What would you like an old grumpy celestial dragon to draw you for your first drawing? And as a note to patrons, both current and in the future, these drawings are not a one-time basis. For every stream that you are a patron for, $25 or more, every stream you get a drawing, which means if you continue to patron my stream for the next stream and any other stream after that, each stream you shall get a drawing, and each stream, if you should so wish, I will send you the drawing after the stream. Alright. Silver Gatamon, how about Tien as a lion sitting outside giving out candy? What have I told you youngsters earlier about me being a lion and then about me giving candy? That me, a lion, and that one child who was sitting there like... and apparently they had seen a lion as if I was Aslan or something of the sort, and then, and to my eternal shame, the parents come up to and say, and that one Captain Hook says, "Look, it's a lion," and I just felt completely dumbfounded at that point, and I wanted to give up on everything. But because you paid, and of course I am not one to reject your idea, I shall do it. Let us see. Yes, I had dyed them. I definitely gave them some dye. I felt like what you youngsters refer to as Oprah. You get a dye, and you get a dye, and everyone gets a dye. Alright. Drawing myself as a lion giving out candy on Halloween. It was a dark and stormy night. That much I remember for sure. I am even grumpier than the last time. And I have my lion costume on as well. I have this magnificent lion costume right now, and apparently I am wearing it and my horns are sticking out the back. And apparently I have to tape whiskers on myself. So right now this is Tien Lion. I shall show you what I have just drawn right now. This is Tien the Lion right now. I look like a cross between a mop and a lost kitten right now. A lost kitten with devilish horns impaled on its head by some sly youngster. Yes, I look like a mop and a lost kitten right now. So let me continue this absolutely dreadful drawing right now of my experience during last year's Halloween. So I'm sitting there and I have my paw out holding some candy. These are candies that I am drawing. They are not poisoned. I solemnly swear these candies are not poisoned. Perhaps maybe just a little bit. And I am standing there holding more candies, and I am holding a box full of so-called candy. And I shall put quotations on the box. Yes, this is most definitely candy. And apparently I am a very pudgy lion as well, because I have just given myself a peanut body, and no, not peanut booty, peanut body. Peanuts do not have any booties. Have you ever seen a booty on a peanut? That is like taking a package of Mr. Peanuts and asking him to turn around and show off his booty. A peanut body and ridiculously large lion paws, because of course all lions have to have big, fluffy, huggable, nuzzleable paws of some sort. And this ridiculously short lion tail as well. And perhaps I should draw a youngster. Should I draw a youngster receiving this candy from Tien the Lion? I probably should. Yes, I shall draw a youngster. I shall draw a youngster receiving this candy as well. And this youngster I do not know what this youngster is or what she looks like. I shall draw a pirate youngster. Yes, this is a pirate youngster. She is receiving the candy. She is receiving the candy from Tien Long. Yes, she is. And now I need to add my chair that I was sitting on, which was essentially the same chair I am sitting on now. I sat on the same chair because I only have one chair. Why do I need more than one chair on a daily basis? I would not know, but I was sitting on the same chair, and it was a dark and stormy night, which is why I shall now draw these most definitely angry storm clouds, so angry that they have mad smileys on them, and they are all storming downwards and about to strike this child, and the thunderbolts themselves will have angry faces on them. So I shall draw sad faces and then make them angry. Because the skies above reflect my mood. So yes, this is what it is turning out to be like. Yep. Stop it, fan. This is what it is turning out to be like right now. That is Tien the lion giving the child her candy, and there are I cannot angle this properly. And there are storm clouds that are angry, and the lightning bolts are angry, and everything on this thing, everything about this drawing is unpleasant because I am giving her this so-called candy over here. Yes, this candy most definitely does not have a skull and bones on it because it is most definitely not poison. And Tien the party pooper is giving out this candy to all these children. Yes, he is. There, one more look for you youngsters. That is Tien the lion giving out his candy to a youngster. I cannot believe that they would call me a lion. Perhaps this year for Halloween I should go out and buy a lion costume so I can actually be Tien the lion. Actually, on second thought, I probably shouldn't because all of you would beg to see that. Alright, well, Silver Gatomon, that was yours as well, and again, if you would like it, then please get in touch with me after this stream. It can be through Twitter, it can be through my email. If you do not know my email, it is very simple. My human slave forced me to get one. It is grumpytienlong@gmail.com. If you need to contact me, Silver Gatomon, or both Ashcore, that is my email. For the rest of you, yes, that is my email, but that does not give you a reason to send me spam. Anyhow, those were the 2 Patreon drawings so far, and once again, these are ongoing drawings that happen for every show that patrons attend and request a drawing for, and that they pay for them, which is basically subscribing as a patron to my stream. But once again, there is no pressure, no obligation to subscribe. It is merely so it enhances both your experience of the stream and for my own experience as well, so that I can provide some better entertainment by bringing in better things to do, or more props, or even guests in the future. Perhaps I have an idea. I am not sure if this would work, but perhaps I could set up something other than a big butt fund. I could set up a lion fund. For a certain amount of money, if all my viewers pool it in between now and Halloween, I would actually go out and buy a lion costume and wear it and become Tien the lion for Halloween. I don't know how that sounds because some of the youngsters sound a little stingy about supporting an old dragon and his silly antics. But at the same time, I think it would be very, very interesting if I were to actually fulfill my duty as being the Lion of Canada and, well, become Tien the Lion for one evening as I go about and serve out a whole load of dye to all of those humans. Alright. Let us see. Hound. Flash Hound. I want to see. What did you send me, Flash Hound? Yes, you get a die, and you get a die. Everyone gets a die. Yes, I will retweet that because that is actually exactly how how I would propose it. Ah, so yes, that is a very good representation of what will happen this Halloween. However, perhaps if I get enough donations from this stream, from all the viewers collectively, it doesn't have to be from just one, perhaps if I get a certain amount of money or donations, or even just patrons, Tien the Lion will become a reality this year, and he will, well, make sure he documents and records all of his adventures for your entertainment. And you will have the pleasure of knowing that you were part of the crowd that forced me to become a lion for an evening, utterly destroying my image and ruining my dignity for what it's worth. I shall now take a sip of my sake while you all contemplate that offer. Perhaps I shall say it like this. If all of you as a collective between now and Halloween, which is in 2 weeks' time, between now and Halloween, go up to 3-digit donations in terms of a one-time payment or a patron, and I shall announce it, between now and Halloween, I will go out, I will get a lion costume, and I shall become Tien the Lion for Halloween, however I can. So I shall toast to that as well. Skål to you, Chumso boy. Skål to you as well, while you all ponder my offering. After all, I am not just going to whore out my donation requests or my Patreon without adding something a little more fun into the deal. Maybe, perhaps even, to make the deal a little sweeter, I'll host another private stream for those that donate a certain amount. Perhaps I shall make that amount known in the next few days' time, on Halloween evening if you have nothing better to do, and you can watch Tien the Lion and join him on his Halloween night. How does that sound to you, crowd? Let me see who is still here in the stream. We still have quite a few people watching the stream as well, and I'm hoping that you all heard what I had to say because I am being completely serious about this. After all, one of my Patreon reward levels is that when you pay a certain amount, you get access to private streams that I may host, and sometimes I may even bring in my human slave so that he may entertain you with some of his antics and give you some more personal information about me that I would never reveal even when I am completely smashed. So perhaps, if you out there, you or your friends, would like to see Tien the Lion become a reality, well, there is my Patreon, there is the donate button somewhere down there as well. Either way, the donations come in and Tien the Lion will become a reality on Halloween, and I will document it all for you to see. And again, if it gets up to a certain amount, which I shall announce, I shall stream it for you all to see as well. And perhaps it shall be private. I don't know, perhaps it should be public, but we shall see what happens. That is just an offer that I would like to make. It is not obligatory, it is not any pressure from myself, but just merely a fun idea in ways that I can continue pleasing and entertaining. Let us see that. Timmy Fox, Tien, can I ask a question? Did you not just ask a question there, Timmy? Let us see. My sake glass is looking quite sad. It is looking sadder and sadder by the minute because, well, it is getting less and less full. But I must also continue quenching my thirst as well. After all, this stream does take a lot out of an old dragon. Nom. Let us see what else you youngsters have to say as well. I'd like to interact with you youngsters a little bit more. Dynamite Thank you for joining us this evening. I wish you a good night. Timmy Fox, also, do you like pie? It is interesting that you are saying that, Timmy Fox, because though I had not had pie in the past, I actually was introduced, me and my celestial self, I was introduced to an assortment of pies this past Thanksgiving weekend for us Kanakastanis, which was last weekend. And the pies that I was introduced to was a wide array from blueberries to pumpkins to apples to other mixtures of pies, and it was honestly rather fattening. But fattening is usually tasty, and I have to admit that they were quite tasty. So my answer is yes, I do like pies. I like pies especially when I can have them with a nice glass of sake. And maybe, and some of you might wonder, well, that's a little odd. Pie and sake? Well, don't knock it until you try it. I like it myself, and of course I like my sake with anything. So, well, if you have ever any pie and sake, maybe just enjoy the two bit by bit together. But make sure it's a good sake, otherwise it'll ruin the experience of both things. Chillin, Chen, do you watch Monty Python? I have only watched one of the Monty Pythons, and it is one of the more well-known ones, which is the Holy Grail. Monty Python, although it is not really my flavor of entertainment, I do enjoy the kind of whimsical nonsense that they provide, especially in that one episode, not episode, I should call it a one edition, which was the Holy Grail that I watched with a few friends. Monty Python, they are absolutely superb at what they do, from what I have seen, and, well, they are pretty much connoisseurs of their craft. Like, they are someone that I would hope that maybe perhaps I could provide as equal entertainment to as possible in the future. But, of course, I must practice and learn up to that point where I can be as entertaining as Monty Python. Volt Ashkor, I believe I had answered this question earlier. The name of that sake is Dasai 23. It is the Otter Festival 23% sake, which means that its original rice grain has been milled down to 23% of its original husk, meaning it is ultra-fine premium sake. It is literally 0.2 millimeters in diameter. That rice grain goes from, I don't know how large it is, to 0.2 millimeters, which is, you can barely even see it. It is almost as small as my toe. Yes, it is almost as small as my toe cloth. Let me see what else. Cake is better than every pie except pumpkin. Well, both taste the same down here and both have the same effect on my belly, so I cannot really root for one or the other. However, I can say that cake is certainly had more often than pie is, so I would naturally be biased towards cake. I am not sure why, but it is something about ice cream cakes that gets the Celestial all happy and not grumpy for a change. So ice cream cakes do sit well with the Celestial Dragon. Which is interesting because I don't have any idea of how I came to like ice cream cakes. I think it was probably something that I had eaten. Some human I had eaten at some birthday party, and he was having an ice cream cake. So I ate the cake as well as the human, and I guess it went well together. Crux asks, what meal would you prefer most with sake? Well, first of all, Crux, it is good to see that you can drop in and join an old Celestial Dragon as he continues to ramble nonsensically and drink while he's at it. So, what meal would I prefer most with sake? Preferably any meal that is writhing and by the dozen. Yes, writhing and by the dozen. Contemplate on that. Green Dragon, any of the British humor you like, Green Dragon, I don't believe I am familiar with those names that you have listed, Grin, but I am familiar with one of the British comics that I do enjoy watching from time to time, Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard is a very, he's a character. That's all I can describe him as. He is a character, and I absolutely enjoy many of his sketches of particularly my favorite one. Some of you may have already guessed it, is Cake or Die. Because, of course, as I had already mentioned earlier, the cake is something that I truly enjoy, especially the ice cream cake. And it is something about that ice cream cake that I enjoy. But usually, if there is no ice cream cake, then I like to serve up a nice dish of die. So the Cake or Die sketch by Eddie Izzard happens to be one of my favorites because, well, there are two of my favorite things, which is cake or die. Let us see. Timmy Fox, did you just say you've actually been happy rather than grumpy at one point? Well, I cannot learn to be grumpy unless I am happy at some point, because you cannot have one without the other. It is as if you are having day without night. It simply cannot happen. You will never be able to function like that. You must balance out one with the other in order to truly be able to grasp what it is to be grumpy. That being said, you will most likely never find me in a happy state, because I absolutely refuse to have youngsters see me when I am happy, because that means that they will be all, oh, he is happy and now he's cuddleable and he's all adorable and he's all huggable and he won't eat us and he won't torment us. And that cannot happen for a celestial dragon such as myself. I must always maintain my grumpy poise while I am around the youngsters, but who knows the moments where I might actually be happy. Most likely when I'm shopping for sake and I find a good selection, or if my big brother is around as he is now, and usually my big brother is enough to make me happy. Yes, Timmy, exactly like yin and yang. Yin and yang is a concept that most Chinese people or Chinese culture apply to their lifestyle, because balance is everything. Balance is a key to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, a proper lifestyle where you are able to balance out a fast pace of life with a slow pace of life in order to fully enjoy all of life's little moments and all of its longer moments too. You must learn how to balance yourself, even with things such as sake. I cannot be drinking sake all the time, otherwise I would be stumbling drunk like a hobo on the streets, whoring myself out for money as I have been doing all stream long. I cannot be doing that every single night. I must be balancing myself out as well. Sake with tea, cake with pie, humans with non-humans, and something of the sort in between, and cake or die, because there must always be a balance between the cake and the die. An old dragon feels the onset of tiredness coming upon him once again. I had woken up from a nap just in time for the Grumpystream, and now I almost feel as if I want to take another. Will blowing smoke up your tail make you any less grumpy? Jerry Husky, I would not appreciate such a question, because I had never had smoke blown up my tail before, and I don't think I ever want to. Kyowen wants me to look evilly in the camera for 30 seconds. I don't know what you mean by evilly, Kyowen, because I really only have one stare, and that one stare is grumpy, and right now, on the Grumpystream, I don't think I can get a lot grumpier than this. Unless you ask me to be grumpier than this, in which you are asking for your own death sentence. Beware of what you wish for, youngsters. Belarus, does blood type matter? No, it does not matter. It does not make a difference down here, and I usually wash it down with sake anyway. So, that foul taste is usually eradicated from my mouth in a matter of seconds. I wonder where my big brother is right now. I have not heard from my big brother in a long while. Perhaps my big brother has fallen asleep, or he has gone off himself, wandering around his city of Singapore, or his country, I should say, of Singapore, but within the city as well, and perhaps my brother has done some urban restructuring. Because my brother as well, my brother is very much a connoisseur of the urban demolition craft. He has been at it for a very long time, and he is one of the connoisseurs well known for it. And perhaps he is out today on this fine weekend morning, the Sunday morning for him to be specific, and, well, restructuring Singapore to his fitting. Flashhound says he's still handling the youngsters. Why are these youngsters still bothering my older brother? What have I told these youngsters before? I told him that us celestial dragons are never to be bothered lest they should find themselves without a windpipe, because I would have appeared there and grabbed their throats and ripped it right out of them. Can your grumpiness be compared to that of Smaug? Now, Jerry, I have had those ask me about my relation to Smaug before, and usually I gave them the same answer, which is Smaug is a dragon from another world of a completely different motivation than I am. Smaug is a dragon that he has the entire narcissistic god complex, where he, being the king underneath the mountain, dominating the dwarven kingdom, and keeping that treasure trove to himself as greedily as any dragon would, such as I would with my sake, he comes off as a completely evil, internally selfish motivation that, for myself, I am purely based on need to survive, and my need to survive depends heavily on sake. So, for me, my grumpiness is not so much of Smaug's, where he must be as grumpy as he is in order to maintain his image as being that king underneath the mountain with the treasure troves and the mountains of gold and whatnot. But for me, it is simply so I can survive another painful day amongst these youngsters. Trumpso Boy 100. Tien, when is the next Grumpy stream? Well, Trumpso Boy, I have not yet actually determined the next Grumpy stream's date. It is usually determined after this Grumpy stream. But, again, if there are enough donations or enough people interested through a monetary value, I will perhaps go out on before Halloween Day, get myself that lion costume that all the humans seem to think I am, and actually become Tien the Lion for Halloween night, and record all of the adventures that I have on that night. Anyhow, let me see how much I have left in my glass. I don't have very much left in my glass at all. I only have about 2 sips left, and that is it for this night's stream. Quite unfortunate because, well, this happened to be a little more of a quiet stream, because I think this is the time when everyone is just out and about somewhere. There are many events going on. There are conventions happening right now. There are beasts wandering out in cities, stomping on things and doing some urban reconstruction, as I like to call it. No, Volt, I do not have another bottle to refill with myself right now. I know I had mentioned 2 at the beginning of the stream, but that second one is, well, if I don't need to break it open, which I don't, well, there is no need for me to break it open and be careless with my wine consumption. After all, as I have said earlier, it is all about balance. Having a balance in things, because you cannot just have all of one without the other. And in this case, I cannot just have sake altogether entirely without nourishing myself afterward. That would be dangerous and unwise. Dargan, I wish you a good night as well. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you a good night. I see that there are people also posting their times up. Some are right now in the evening, some are early morning, some are... Yes, I see there are quite a few people that are in the morning time right now. Some are 4:43, 2:43, 3:44. You are all very dedicated right now, joining me at such a late hour. I thank you all once again for joining me, keeping me company here on this evening or early morning for some of you, and watching me ramble and ramble and ramble, because for some reason you all seem to enjoy my ramblings. I don't know what it is about my ramblings that you all seem to enjoy, but, well, if I can help your youngsters' mornings or your evenings or your days or your weeks become a little more cheerful from what I do, then I shall continue doing what I do. Let me see who is still here in the stream accompanying myself right now. We still have a good audience right now out and about. I don't see my brother though. I don't see my big brother around, and that makes me upset. As I said earlier, my big brother being around makes me slightly happier, but now that he is not here, I am growing constantly grumpier, incrementally grumpier, endlessly grumpier right now. Where is my big brother? I demand his presence here. My big brother, stop chasing after those foolish youngsters and get back here so your little brother doesn't eat the camera. Oh, you are there, big brother. Oh, greetings, big brother. I cannot wave. Remember what we said about waving. Yes, greetings, big brother. It is good to know that you are still here, and you are rolling. Why are you rolling, big brother? You should not be rolling. You should be making triangles with your noodle body right now. You should be folding yourself in a triangle shape, because thinking in a triangle I believe will expand your mind in 3 perspectives, because a triangle has 3 sides and it forms a triangle, and it enlightens you, because you can then see the world from a different perspective. I must have another sip of my sake, my ever so dwindling sake right now. Usually after I finish my sake, the show ends, even though I don't want it to end, but it has been running for nearly 3 hours now, this show, and that is usually about the time that these shows run, because, well, an old dragon is old. He needs his sleep, he needs his nourishment, he needs his bedtime routine, which usually includes just watching silly cat videos on YouTube. Crux says, I wonder how triangle noodles taste. Well, Crux, that would be an adventure that you and I, along with my brother, should probably have the next time us 3 are together at a convention. After all, I remember that I had mentioned something about bringing you to the better noodle places the next time we meet, and I intend on keeping my word, because, well, a noodle dragon such as myself would not dare imagine you going to eat some mediocre noodles or some sloppily made, bottom-of-the-barrel, sleazy little Chinese dive or something of the sort. You must have what the Celestials have, and that is nothing but the finest. Let me see. Dreamfinder, Godzilla says hi, and that it was an honor to meet you at Megaplex and hopes to see you again next year. Dreamfinder, I am so glad that you can make it, Dreamfinder. It is an honor to have you here on my stream. For those that do not know, Dreamfinder, who had posted in the chat just moments ago, Dreamfinder is another fellow creature, another big stumpy creature, who is the performer of an absolutely flawlessly, spectacularly done Godzilla costume that can be seen wandering around conventions. I believe you were at Megaplex last seen, and I was absolutely floored and I was delighted to see another giant roaming around, such as myself, and inspecting the hotel, judging it whether it should be remodeled, so to say, or not. And, well, It is an honor to have Godzilla say hi on the stream as well, and I return the kind greeting. Hopefully we should give Chen and Ching a bottle of sake at next con. Trummy Boy, or Chumso Boy I should say, Trummy Boy has a better ring to it. Trummy Boy, yes, Trummy Boy. If you shall be at AnthroCon 2016, I shall be there as well. As for my brother Ching, I hope that he is able to make it, but if not, I would be happy to pass your offering on to him for you. I promise I will not, I solemnly promise, I will not drink his offering in his name. I will simply keep it for safekeeping. Yes, yes. Isn't a celestial promise the most sacred there is? Asks Volt. Yes, of course, a celestial's promise is almost as sacred as my I was going to make a reference to the watermelon and the watermelon god, but I think I had already ranted enough about the watermelons and the lack of respect that they get on a daily basis. But Big Brother, don't you cough at me. Big Brother, you know that I would not drink your sake. I would do nothing of the sort, and I feel absolutely hurt that you would even think that I would be one to drink your sake. I am your little brother. I adore you very dearly, and I would not drink your sake. But it is the wine thief. Yes, the wine thief did it. Even though he is currently at Arizona FairCon, the wine thief most certainly did it. Yes, Kyoan. Yes, Kyoan is certainly leading the charge with Bree. So I shall do a Bree once more for the great giraffe god. Yes, yes. Let us see. It is 9:50 so far. 9:50, which means that it is 10 minutes until the 3-hour mark. And, well, at the 3-hour mark is usually when I end the stream, unfortunately, as I only have one last sip of sake left. I don't have too many things to ramble on and on about for the last 10 minutes of the stream, but I think I will just spend it enjoying what interaction I have left with you lovely audience tonight. Let us see what you youngsters have to say as well. Spirit the Wolf, where can I buy some sake? Spirit, if you go to any spirit shop, if you see what I did there, because your name is Spirit and alcohol is named, whatever. If you go to any spirit shop or booze shop or anywhere that sells alcohol, they would probably have at least some selection of sake, and if not, you could always use Google. I hear the youngsters find Google very popular and use it to do just about anything these days. Volt Ashkor, my email I shall provide to you, or I shall tweet at you in regards to that picture later on. I don't really feel like spreading it right now on this chat. Screw it. I will say what it is. After all, it is an email. It's not a government secret. My email, once again, is grumpytienlong@gmail.com. It is not that difficult to spell. grumpytienlong@gmail.com. And that is, again, no excuse for any of you youngsters to start sending me spam or of this sort or whatnot, because I do not use that email for spam or for communicating with lighthearted chatter. That is what these streams are for. These grumpy streams are your opportunity to communicate with an old dragon, because he does not have much time on a daily basis to communicate with his audience. Jerry Husky, do you love doing these streams? Well, let me ask you in return, Jerry, why do you think I keep doing them? And no, it is not because I am whoring myself out for the Big Dragon Bum Fund or some sort of other donation fund. That is just tertiary. I do these streams because, well, I do these streams. Blech. Oh, Koryu, thank you for the awesome night, Tien Long. I assume that you are saying that because you are headed off, but thank you for joining me, Koryu. Robotex Raccoon and Tien Long is about to get tons of RP request emails. No, I am not going to get any RP request emails, and don't you dare start sending me any right now, because I do not RP, I don't ever will, and never will. It has been quite an enjoyable evening for an old celestial dragon. Sitting here in his chair, drinking bottom of the barrel Junmai Ginjo sake, wondering when I will ever get out and do something more interesting, but at the same time entertaining all the youngsters here. Wondering when my big brother will ever start showing his adoration for me. Wondering when Crux will let me bring him out to eat the finest noodles to find in this land. Wondering about a lot of things, including when I will ever actually catch that wine thief and get all of that wine he has taken from me. After 2 conventions that he has been to this past 2 weeks, I can imagine that his stocks and his cellars would be quite full now. Perhaps he would be able to share a few bottles with me. Robotex Raccoon, Tien is cool, I buy him a drink, gallons of sake from the Grump Dragon. Robotex, I am deeply honored by your statement, but I would only accept the drink if you would drink with me. After all, it is bad company and bad form to drink alone. So I'd rather have company to share a drink and to enjoy good times together rather than just be bought a drink by myself. It is quite a lazy night for a celestial dragon. Nights like this, I am usually in bed already, just wondering about those things I had already been mumbling about just now. Or perhaps some nights I am also looking for inspiration on the channels of the internet, such as Fur Affinity and Weasel and whatnot, for inspiration on new ways to carry out my urban reconstruction. I have yet to actually demonstrate my abilities of urban reconstruction, but I plan to do so soon. After all, it is hard to just illustrate exactly the extent of a Celestial's power when they are doing urban reconstruction through just words. I wonder if there are artists out there that would be able to help me illustrate a Celestial's power when they are in their elements, so to say. Robotex Raccoon says Tien looks like he needs belly rubs. Well, if laying back here, my hands folded on my lap, looks like I need belly rubs, then yes, perhaps I need belly rubs, but no belly rubs, no hugs, no snuggles, no cuddles, no cuteness, no adorableness, none of that nonsense you youngsters are into. Oh, yes, Crux, I noticed you there. Hello, Crux. Yes. Good to see you here, Crux. Yes, of course, indeed. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope you have found much inspiration for your own ideas of urban reconstruction and whatnot. Yes. Volt asks, not even for Ching. Now, my big brother is a special exception, and that is because he is my big brother, and he knows it, even though he will never admit it. So I want to know right now, actually, I shall pose a question to the audience. Who will be going to Midwest Fur Fest? After all, as I mentioned earlier, Midwest Fur Fest will be the last convention this year for myself. And well, before the year ends, it would be nice if I get to actually meet the audience that I am interacting with. And Big Brother, stop grumping. Big Brother, you know that you enjoy it when your little brother adores you, even if you won't admit it. It is good to see you all there. for those of you that say that you would be attending, I hope to see you all there. And I'm looking specifically at you, Crux. For those of you that will not be able to make it, I am very, very deeply sorry to hear that. Saddened, I should say, to hear that. And I hope that you would be able to cross paths with myself at another convention sometime soon. Belarus, it is interesting you mention Anthro New England, because Anthro New England is actually not too far from a Celestial Dragon, and I have been thinking about attending Anthro New England, especially since one of my dearest fans, Gale Frostbane, is one of the con chairs for that convention. And I am very much inclined to support my friends that, well, the youngsters that don't annoy me as much. So perhaps I shall consider a trip to Anthro New England should it serve me timely. Yes, for those of you that have higher priorities than conventions, I respect you and I also salute you for taking your life priorities into account over conventions. You have no idea how many times I have thrown tangents and rants about those that constantly complain on Facebook and Twitter, well, I just lost my job, and I just moved 3 times and have no money and have to go through college so I can get a job better than minimum wage, but I just commissioned a new piece of art and I'm going to this convention. For those of you that are not like those people and are actually taking your life priorities into account, I salute you, and I would dare say I would rather you not go to the convention so that you can focus on bettering yourself and the life that is right there immediate to you. Rubbertex Raccoon says, I love Tien Long's Fu Manchu, or are they whiskers? I refer to them as whiskers, others refer to them as Fu Manchus, most people refer to them as noodles. All 3 of them refer to the same thing, so I guess yes, they are Fu Manchus indeed, and I appreciate that you enjoy them. I enjoy them too, especially when they're in my mouth. I mean, especially when they are making me look a lot more regal than I actually am. Well, that was actually the last of the sake, and I drank that right at the mark of 10 o'clock. Which means that now that sake is finished, the stream shall also come to a close quite shortly as well. One more time, however, I'd like to run through the list of the list of people that are in attendance of the stream right now, just so I can acknowledge you all, and so that I can put a name behind the audience members that so faithfully join a dragon as he drinks and rambles on nights like this. So once again, to Jacktail, my big brother, Kira Lion, Tromso Boy, Steel Wolf, Green Dragon, Demon Taro, Frost Fox, Jerry Husky, Zalno, Timmy Fox, Spirit the Wolf, Flashhound, Kenny the Dragon, Greek Yoshi, Kyowen, Koryu, Crux, Belarus, Sparkle, Rubbertex Raccoon, Volt, Dreamfinder, and Silver Gatomon. Once again, for all of you that are still in attendance with me at the ending of this edition of the Grumpy Stream, I thank you very much for your support. And once again, because, well, again, I am shamelessly whoring myself out at this point, I do have a new Patreon that I have set up, and you can find the link in the description below, or the donate button if you should only wish to make a one-time donation. But either way, your support in any form is eternally appreciated by myself. The next stream shall be announced soon. Perhaps it shall be Halloween if that little proposed offer I had mentioned earlier goes through. But it will most definitely be before Midwest Fur Fest. I would like to talk to you all before I set off for Midwest Fur Fest, because after Midwest Fur Fest, it might be likely there would be no stream in December, but if things work out, there may be a special stream I have planned in December, so you shall have to keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. And for those patrons, once again, that I have drawn for tonight, please get in contact with me either through Twitter or through even Facebook or my email that I have set out. If you would like to have me mail out your Patreon drawings out to you, and hopefully they arrive in a timely fashion, but I will try to get them out as fast as possible. Other than that, that does mark the end of another stream, especially because I've run out of sake, and we all know that it is utterly boring if I don't have a drink or two. So, for those of you that are currently turning into sleep, just waking up from sleep and turning back into sleep, or whatever the case may be, I wish you a good night, and for the rest of you as well, safe travels, and I shall see you next time.